Chapter 2774 Tianyan Treasure Box. When the melody sounded, many emperors were fine, but those disciples brought by their elders had different reactions, and the lower the cultivation level, the stronger the reaction. There was a warrior who was only in the Void King realm. He couldn't help but let out a groan, with a relaxed look on his face, and his eyes shone brightly, as if he had realized something. Read the latest chapter. The sound of ding-dong continued, and the box rose layer by layer. Only then did everyone see clearly that the box was not a rouge box, but something like a pagoda. The tool is shaped, about 3 feet high, and roughly counted, there are as many as 9 floors. Each layer is spinning, left or right, faster or slower. With the rotation of the pagodas layer by layer, the rhythm is gradually changing, but it is still so pleasant to the ear. After the pagoda was fully formed, a hazy layer of mist grew out. The mist showed a faint blue color and soon filled the hall. When I looked up again, there was Lang Lang's starry sky above the main hall, full of stars. It seems that the place where everyone is not in the Hall of All Saints, but in the vast starry sky, reaching out, it seems that the stars are within reach, giving people an extremely wonderful feeling. The faces of the Emperor Senior Realm became solemn, faintly aware of the magical effect of this treasure box, and each of them was calculating in their hearts what price they should pay to exchange the treasure box. Wow! With a soft sound, the stars in the sky collapsed, the stars disappeared, and the beautiful scenery disappeared. Accompanied by the melodious rhythm, the treasure box gradually converged and turned into a rouge box again. From the outside, there was nothing wrong with it, surprisingly. The warriors of Daoyuan Realm and Void King Realm also came back to their senses in an instant. All of them showed unfinished expressions, staring at the treasure box with fiery eyes. Holding the treasure box, the old man smiled and said, "The Tianyan treasure box, the sounds of nature and the illusion it creates are of great benefit to the cultivation of warriors below the Daoyuan realm. You can get twice the result with half the effort and have absolutely no negative effects. This treasure box was obtained by accident when I was young. Since I entered the Holy Realm, I have been following me for thousands of years. I can achieve today's achievements, it has contributed to it." After listening to the old man's explanation, everyone immediately understood that their previous guess was correct. Although the Emperor Senior Realm present basically couldn't feel the magical effect brought by the Tianyan treasure box, one can infer one or two from the reactions of those descendant disciples. Really helpful. With the help of the weird and magical melody and the beautiful illusion, it brings great benefits to the cultivation of warriors. This is not comparable to taking panacea. Any kind of panacea has a trace of toxicity. Taking too little is fine, but if taking too much, it will be detrimental to the growth of warriors. But Tianyan treasure box is different, everything is pure natural. Everyone was even more curious about who made such a treasure. And according to what the old man said, the Tianyan treasure box has been following him for thousands of years, so to speak. This thing is definitely not something that can be refined by the current refiners. It is very likely that it is something that has been passed down from a long time ago, and it can even be traced back to the ancient times. The old man continued, "Such a treasure, to be honest, I don't want to exchange it. It's just, the old man is alone, has no descendants, and has no disciples. If the Tianyan treasure box remains in the old man's hands, it will also be dusty. The old man, I hope it can play its role again, and it can be regarded as thanks for its help to the old man for so many years." What the old man said was a little lonely, but it shocked everyone's heart. Generally speaking, there is no sect like the old man. For a martial artist without a back, the road of cultivation is bound to be full of thorns and ups and downs, and there are few great achievers. It is extremely difficult to be promoted to Emperor Zun. But he is now a strong Emperor Senior Realm, and it is very likely that it is due to the Tianyan treasure box. However, there is one thing for everyone to know. Although this Tianyan treasure box is miraculous, it has no effect on the Emperor Senior Realm, and even the Daoyuan Realm. The effect is greatly reduced. Only warriors below the Daoyuan Realm, only then can I appreciate the beauty of this Tianyan treasure box. The old man seemed to be a real person, so he didn't hide anything, and he also revealed the disadvantages of the Tianyan treasure box. But even so what? The emperors present are not solitary existences like the old man. They either have countless disciples, or have descendants of their own families, and those descendants are countless in Daoyuan. Take Qingyang Temple as an example. It is a huge sect, and there are fighters of all levels, and there are a lot of people under Daoyuan, and the Tianyan treasure box is of great use to them. If the Qingyang Temple can obtain the Tianyan treasure box, then in the future, disciples below the Daoyuan realm will have one more choice for cultivation. The attraction of this thing to the Zongmin family is extremely huge. That's why the old man's voice fell, and someone in the audience couldn't help asking, "Old Lu, dare I ask you what you want to exchange for this Tianyan treasure box?" "Yes, Mr. Lu, why don't you come up with a price? Everyone should be prepared, and you won't be disappointed." What's more, those sect masters quietly sent voices to this old Lu, promising him the position of elder or even deputy suzerain, hoping that he could join their sect, but unfortunately the result was destined to disappoint them. There are countless of them, some of them have no chance, lack of aptitude, and cannot join those sects, but some are idle clouds and wild cranes, and do not want to be restrained by the sect. Elder Lu is undoubtedly the latter type of person, otherwise, with his cultivation base of the Emperor Prestige realm, he is welcome to join any sect, even Qingyang Temple has a place for him. For those who quietly transmitted voices, Mr. Lu politely declined. After a while, Lu Lao said, "I started to practice a secret technique a few years ago, and I need the inner alchemy of monsters, so I hope to exchange this Tianyan treasure box for the inner alchemy of monsters." Monster inner alchemy. Everyone heard the words, some were happy and some were sad, with different expressions. "The inner alchemy that I need must be the inner alchemy of a 12th order monster, and I want to exchange 2 sets of 5-element inner alchemy." 5 elements inner alchemy, or 2 sets. There was a burst of exclamation, and many emperors frowned, feeling that this old Lu was a little bit like a lion. The 12th order inner alchemy, even if it is a low-grade one, is worth 2 to 3 million high-grade source crystals. A set of 5-element inner alchemy includes 5 types of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, and the average price is at least 10 million to 15 million. And because it is a complete set, the price is even higher, probably reaching the 20 million mark. One set of 5 elements inner alchemy is 20 million, and 2 sets is 40 million. This is still based on the calculation of the 12th level low-grade inner alchemy. The Tianyan treasure box is certainly not bad, but it is only useful for warriors below Daoyuan realm, who would spend tens of millions of high-grade source crystals to buy this, not to mention whether it is available. Even if it is not worthwhile. So when Lu Lao said a word, the emperors who were originally excited were also dumbfounded. Instead, many people turned their attention to Chu Ran and the elders of Qingyang Temple. 2 sets of 5 elements inner alchemy, the Emperor Prestige realm present would definitely not be able to take them out, and the only one who could take them out was the Master Haria of the Qingyang Temple. Everyone immediately understood that when Lu Lao threw out the Tianyan treasure box on this occasion, he probably came for the Qingyang Temple and wanted to make this deal with the Qingyang Temple. If even the Qingyang Temple could not satisfy him, then the exchange can only be done. Sure enough, the spirit power fluctuated among the several elders of Qingyang Temple, obviously communicating through sound transmission. After a while, Chu Ran shook his head slowly. Elder Lu standing on the high platform suddenly looked disappointed. "The temple doesn't want this treasure box?" Yang Kai asked Gao Shueding through sound transmission. He is the elder guest of the temple, and has no right to make decisions on matters related to the interests of the temple, so Chu Ran and others did not inform him when they were discussing just now. The asking price is too high, and the temple does not have a complete set of 5 elements inner alchemy. Gao Shueding replied. Tier 12 monster inner pills are rare, and complete sets are even rarer. Although there are more than a dozen inner pills of 12th tier monsters in the warehouse of Qingyang Temple, the quality is not bad, but the earth attribute is missing, naturally unable to meet Lu Lao's request. "If the temple doesn't want it, then I'll take the shot." Yang Kai grinned. Gao Shueding looked at him in surprise. "Do you have 2 sets of 5 elements inner alchemy? If there is any, discuss it with him." Yang Kai smiled slightly, raised his head and said to the high platform, "Old Lu, take a look and see if this may meet your requirements." While speaking, he raised his hand and threw out a space ring. Elder Lu took it, and swept away his spiritual sense. He was overjoyed at first, then frowned again, and said, "Elder Yang, this seems to be a bit close. There is a set of 12th rank 5-element inner alchemy in the ring, but there is only 1 set, and there are 2 sets of 11th rank top grade ones left." Yang Kai shook his head and said, 12th order monster inner alchemy still needs a complete set. How can it be so easy to get? Even these are things that I got by coincidence. Mr. Lu, see if you can change it. Can't if you change it, let it go." When everyone heard this, they immediately understood that the exchange item Yang Kai sent up might not meet Lu Lao's requirements, but it should be what he needed, so Lu Lao was so hesitant. Lu Lao was silent and did not give an answer right away. Yang Kai suddenly sent a voice transmission. However, there is a piece of news that can be attached to Lu Lao, about this 12th order monster inner alchemy. What? The Ziwen Chamber of Commerce in Fenggalan City will produce 2 12th rank inner alchemy every 6 months from now on, even top rank ones. Mr. Lu, pay more attention, maybe you can get another set. How do you know about this? Elder Lu was surprised and delighted when he heard this. Those inner pills were all provided by me, how could I not know? Yang Kai was amused, and replied in his mouth, I am a close friend with a manager of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce, and he told me about this matter. To be continued. I 1 quarter 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 I 1 quarter. Chapter 2775 First. Okay. Lu Lao looked happy. If the matter is really as Yang Kai said, then he doesn't need to rush to get 2 sets of inner alchemy, first get a set of cultivation and then talk about it, and then slowly figure out the rest. Things can be exchanged, but I hope that Elder Yang can give me back 10 million high-grade source crystals. After all, these things are far from the old man's asking price. The old guy looked very simple and honest, with such dark eyes. Yang Kai slandered, without thinking, 5 million. Lu Lao was silent for a while, as if deliberating, finally nodded and said, deal. Yang Kai immediately sent another 5 million high-grade source crystals, exchanged for the Tianyan treasure box from Lu Lao, and stuffed it into the space ring. Junior brother, you have just become the elder of the temple, and you have spent so much money for the temple. Senior sister, I want to thank you on behalf of all the disciples. In the future, if the disciples succeed in cultivation, they will definitely remember your kindness. Gao Shueting's voice suddenly broke out into Yang Kai's ears. Yang Kai's face turned black, and he turned his head to look, but saw Gao Shueting staring at the stage without squinting, as if he was not talking to him. This, senior sister Gao, this treasure box is me. Gao Shueting tilted her head, her eyes widened, and Yang Kai immediately changed his mind and said, of course the disciples of the temple want to use it, there is no problem. Only then did Gao Shueting nod her head and said, junior brother has a heart. Yang Kai laughed dryly, the bitterness in his mouth was better than eating Coptus chinensis, thinking how to get the best of both worlds. In the next exchange meeting, there were still many treasures appearing on the stage, and many emperors came to the stage one by one, presenting the treasures that had been treasured for many years, which often caused looting. However, on the site of the Qingyang temple, everyone still obeyed the rules, and no one dared to pick quarrels and cause trouble if there was no righteousness in the transaction. Yang Kai also shot a few times, in exchange for some rare materials, and even an ancient pill formula. It wasn't until dawn the next day that the exchange meeting was over, and everyone got up together. As the host, the senior officials of Qingyang Temple headed by Chu Ran politely tried to persuade them to stay, but no one really stayed, and they offered to leave one after another. Not long after, more than 100 emperor senior disciples and the descendant disciples who brought them left. Junior brother Yang, come to the old man's Lingyu Peak later, it's time to choose a place for you. Chu Ran said suddenly. Yang Kai nodded and said, okay, senior brother Chu, wait a moment, I still have something to do. While speaking, he jumped out of the hall directly and flew out in a stream of light. Chu Ran frowned, sighed and said, young man, you are in a hurry. He didn't know what Yang Kai was going to do when he ran out at this time, but even the important matter of choosing Lingfeng had to be postponed. It seemed that he had to deal with some urgent matter. A moment later, 300 miles away from the Qingyang temple, Yang Kai suddenly appeared, looked around, his gaze was fixed in a certain direction, and he clasped his fists and said, Master Zhang, I've been waiting for a long time. There was a ripple in the void over there, and in the center of the ripple, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man suddenly appeared, walking step by step from the void, with a hint of surprise on his face. Elder Yang has good eyesight. He was hiding there, and he had some vigilance, but he didn't want to be seen through by Yang Kai at a glance. It was indeed some ability to be canonized as an elder by Qingyang Temple. The key is that he is young enough. Compared with him, Zhang Dashan feels old and old for nothing. I don't know that Elder Yang just transmitted his voice to me, so what's the point of asking Zhang to wait here? When the previous exchange meeting ended, He was about to leave when he heard Yang Kai's voice transmission, so he waited here specially, otherwise he would have gone back to his sect long ago. If it was someone else who transmitted the sound to him, he would not have to pay attention to it, but Yang Kai had the status of an elder of the Qingyang temple, so he had to treat it with caution and could only wait here. Yang Kai smiled and said, "Master Zhang, forgive me, I want Master Zhang to transfer something to me." Zhang Dashan frowned, and understood immediately, then Tai Shenshui. When the owner of Tai Shenshui took out this thing to exchange, Yang Kai also offered a bargaining chip, but unfortunately he failed, and finally Tai Shenshui fell into his hands. Zhang Dashan and Yang Kai had never met before. If Yang Kai, if you have anything to do with him, the only possibility is Tai Shenshui. Not bad. Yang Kai nodded. Zhang Dashan immediately showed vigilance, and his spiritual sense swept around, as if all kinds of ambushes might be killed at any time. Yang Kai laughed and said, "Master Zhang doesn't have to be like this. Yang came here alone, and he sincerely wants to exchange this Tai Shenshui with Master Zhang." Zhang Dashan frowned and said, "If this is the case, then I'm really sorry. This Tai Shenshui is also of great use to Zhang, so I will disappoint Elder Yang." Yang Kai raised his hand and said, "Master Zhang is not in a hurry to refuse, let me guess what you want this Tai Shenshui for." Zhang Dashan frowned even more. He was quite impatient because of Yang Kai's entanglement, he had already rejected it, what else do you have to say? Yang Kai turned a deaf ear and said to himself, the function of Tai Shenshui is nothing more than to promote the birth of elixir. For alchemists, it is a good thing that can't be met, and Zhang clan mainly uses Tai Shenshui because of this, right? Not bad. Zhang Dashan nodded and admitted. This is not difficult to guess, so it does not show any cleverness. Yang Kai laughed again. It's just that I see Master Zhang's hands are delicate, there is no smoke and fire, and there is no trace of elixir, so Master Zhang should not be proficient in alchemy. Zhang Dashan shook his head and said, martial arts are long and far-reaching, Zhang doesn't have the leisure and ability to ponder alchemy. Yang Kai looked determined, smiled and said, so, Master Zhang's Tai Shenshui is for giving away. And it is for an alchemy master, so that Master Zhang can give this great gift. It seems that Zhang Men the Lord also has something to ask for from the other party, should it be seeking pills. After a pause, Yang Kai said, Master Wangfu from Ziwen Chamber of Commerce. Zhang Dashan finally showed a hint of surprise. Elder Yang can even guess this. Yang Kai sneered. There are not many well-known alchemists in the southern region, and the only ones who can make Master Zhang not hesitate to give away such a treasure as Tai Shenshui are those few emperor alchemists, let alone the other emperor alchemists. They all have their own affiliations, and it is extremely difficult to meet each other, not to mention seeking pills, but the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce opens its doors to do business, and Master Wangfu also makes alchemy for others all the year round. Generally speaking, seeking pills will only come to him, eh? Speaking of this, Zhang Dashan did not hide anything, nodded and said, yes, this Tai Shenshui is indeed intended to be given to Master Wangfu. Yang Kai Dao. Master Zhang wants to use this treasure to let Master Wangfu refine your panacea first. Why not? There is nothing wrong with it, it's just that Grand Master Wangfu is famous outside, and there are countless people who ask him to make alchemy. Who would not give some important gifts? Master Zhang's Tai Shenshui is precious, but it may not be the best. Maybe even Wangfu Master has accepted the gift, you have to wait for a while. Zhang Dashan frowned and said, Zhang knows this, but as long as Master Wangfu accepts the gift, there should be results within 3 months, which is better than those who have to wait for several years. 3 months. Yang Kai sneered, raised a finger and said, I can let Master Zhang get the panacea you want within a day. What? Zhang Dashan was shocked. 1 day. This is impossible. It may not be possible, it depends on whether Master Zhang is willing to believe me. Zhang Dashan's expression suddenly hesitated. If Yang Kai said such words to him before yesterday, he would just scoff, but today is different. Now Yang Kai is the elder of Qingyang Temple, with the golden signboard of Qingyang Temple, Yang says something with some credibility. After hesitating for a while, Zhang Dashan finally said, which emperor alchemist does Elder Yang know? I wonder if Master Zhang has heard of the name Ji Ying. Yang Kai asked. Ji Ying. Zhang Dashan murmured and fell into deep thought. Soon, his expression brightened and his eyes lit up. Master Ji Ying. Who is under the seat of Emperor Miao Dan? Who else but him? No way. Zhang Dashan was very surprised. That master is in the Northern Territory. Elder Yang, you said before that within a day. Yang Kai interrupted him and said, Ji Ying is now in Qingyang Temple. I have some friendship with him, it's no problem to let him open the furnace to make pills once. Zhang Dashan was suddenly dumbfounded. Letting an emperor alchemist open a furnace to make alchemy, and he is a disciple of Emperor Miao Dan, how can this be done with a little friendship? The most unbelievable thing is that Master Ji Ying is actually in the Qingyang Temple now. Just when Zhang Dashan was thinking wildly and restless, Yang Kai's voice sounded again. Master Zhang is going to give a heavy gift and wait for 3 months or even longer to get the panacea, or is he willing to give it a try for a day? Get the elixir within 3 months. But then again, even if Sect Master Zhang can really ask Master Wangfu to make alchemy for you within 3 months, the handling fee at that price may not be less. But if I come forward, if so, the handling fee can be waived. Can the fee be waived? Zhang Dashan's eyes lit up. To invite an emperor alchemist to make alchemy, not only must the materials be prepared by oneself, but also a rather high handling fee must be paid, otherwise how can you say that those damn alchemists are all rich? Only this time, Yang Kai said seriously. Zhang Dashan immediately sniffed out a different kind of information from this sentence, and said excitedly, then next time Zhang can. Naturally there will be a charge next time. Yang Kai chuckled. Zhang Dashan was ecstatic. If you can catch up with Master Ji Ying this time, if you want to seek pills in the future, you don't have to look at people's faces and wait hard. The handling fee is what it should be. Observing his words, Yang Kai hit the iron while it was hot. I don't want to lie to Master Zhang, I want this Tai divine water, and I want to give it to Master Ji Ying. Master Zhang offers a price, and I can buy it. No need. Zhang Dashan is also a decisive person. Since he has made a decision in his heart, he will never be a mother-in-law again. After a little tidying up, he directly threw a space ring to Yang Kai. Tai Shenshui and the materials needed for alchemy, it's all in it, and this matter will trouble Elder Yang. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to take it, swept away his spiritual sense, and smiled. Master Zhang, wait here for a day, and I will come to you tomorrow. Thank you. To be continued. Chapter 2776 Senior Sister, don't be impulsive. The signboard of the elders of the Qingyang Temple is really useful. If someone else wants to get the Tai Shenshui from Zhang Dashan in a few words, that is simply a fantasy. Zhang Dashan is not a fool. Just hand over to others. It is precisely because of Yang Kai's status as the elder of the Qingyang Temple that he can be trusted. Seeing Yang Kai's figure disappear, Zhang Dashan was both excited and apprehensive. What is exciting is that this transaction may be able to build up the relationship with Master Ji Ying. If you want to ask for any emperor pill in the future, you will be able to get it first. What's disturbing is that I don't know if the emperor pill that I want to refine this time will be successful. Alchemy is a technical job. Even if it is an alchemist, there is a certain failure rate. Once he fails, all the medicinal materials he has collected so hard will be destroyed. It took him 5 years to collect them all. Just thinking about it, Zhang Dashan was shocked again, and slapped his thigh angrily. I was so excited before that I forgot to tell Yang Kai what kind of elixir he wanted to refine. But thinking about it again, with Master Ji Ying's eyesight and alchemy skills, seeing the medicinal materials he prepared, he should be able to know the type of elixir that needs to be refined. 1 day was spent in Zhang Dashan's anxious waiting, which seemed as long as a year. Suddenly, a stream of light came from a distance. Zhang Dashan was shocked and looked up. Yang Kai's figure reappeared. He threw a jade bottle casually, and said with a smile, fortunately, it's not a disgrace. When Zhang Dashan heard this, his heart beat wildly with excitement. He took the jade bottle, opened it to have a look, and sure enough, he saw 6 full-colored, round-bodied emperor pills lying quietly in the jade bottle, and took a sip of the fragrance of the pills. Refreshing. Haha laughed, showing gratitude, and sincerely said, thank you, Elder Yang. If it wasn't for Yang Kai to match the bridge, how could he get this panacea within a day? According to his plan, he would first go to the chief rudder of Ziwen Chamber of Commerce to ask Master Wangfu to present him with Tai divine water. After waiting for a few months, it is possible to get this panacea from Master Wangfu. Even so, getting 3 or 4 panacea is the limit. But I don't think that now it's just a day's work and everything I want can come true. Not only that, there are as many as 6 elixir, each of which is of good quality. As expected of N-style_TXT, Your Majesty Miao Dan, this alchemy foundation and ability surpasses that of Master Wangfu by more than a few blocks. Zhang Dashan couldn't help but be very grateful. Fortunately Yang Kai left him yesterday through sound transmission. Fortunately, I believed in Yongkai once, otherwise how could such a good thing fall on my head? For a time, I was grateful to Yongkai. Master Zhang is being polite, just take what you need. Yongkai smiled slightly, clasped his fists and said, farewell. Elder Yang, stop. Zhang Dashan suddenly raised his hand and shouted. Yongkai turned his head and said, does Master Zhang have any orders? Zhang Dashan said with some anticipation, Zhang wants to ask Elder Yang, if Zhang wants to ask for Dan again in the future. Yongkai smiled and said, just come to Qingyang Temple to find me. Anyway, with Ji Ying as a coolie, he can refine Dedan and other things casually, and he can also charge some handling fees by the way. Zhang Dashan was overjoyed. Then I would like to thank Elder Yang. Yongkai nodded. His figure swayed, and he returned the same way. Qingyang Temple, Lingyu Peak, the Lingfeng where the Vice Master Chu Ran lives. Senior Brother Chu, I'm coming. Yongkai shouted after breaking in, and soon saw Chu Ran standing there quietly, as if waiting for him. Hey, Senior Brother Chu, your complexion is not very good. Yongkai looked at Chu Ran in surprise. Chu Ran said with a dark face, didn't you tell the old man to wait for a while yesterday? This moment is a day. Only then did Yongkai understand why he was looking at him with resentment. It made me feel as if I had given up on him from beginning to end, and I scratched my head and laughed. Something happened, so I was delayed. Chu Ran shook her head helplessly, and didn't bother to argue with him, so she waved and said, come with me. Yongkai obediently followed Chu Ran into a little hall. With a wave of Chu Ran's hand, the hall was closed immediately. Yongkai looked around, only aware of the traces of formations arranged in the hall, but he couldn't see any magical formations. On the contrary, there is a huge sand table in the center of the hall. At first glance, the sand table seems to have a trace of spirituality, flowing slowly, but a closer look shows that the sand table is a dead object, which is extremely strange. Taking a closer look, Yongkai immediately raised his eyebrows and asked, is this the Qingyang mountain range? Chu Ran nodded and said, that's right, this is the mountain wave map of my Qingyang mountains. While speaking, he stretched out his hand, and the sand table immediately came to life under the ups and downs of Emperor Yuan. The miniature pattern of the Qingyang Mountains, every peak and every valley in the Qingyang Mountains can find a corresponding existence here. Yongkai looked amazed, and wondered in his heart whether he should let Hua Qingxi make such a mountain wave map after returning to Lingxiao Palace. This kind of thing should not be a rare item in Dazong, but it needs to be refined very delicately, and it is not difficult to do it with the current background of Lingxiao Palace. My Qingyang Temple is located in the Qingyang Mountain Range. The mountain range is named after the temple. There are 1,352 peaks, large and small, among which there are 27 main peaks that can be used by elders. Most of them are now there are empty ones, you can choose which one you like the most. Chu Ran pointed to Shanbotu. Yongkai looked at it carefully for a while, and said, Senior Brother Chu, there are people living in this green place, right? Chu Ran nodded and said, that's right, the green peaks are inhabited places, and those white ones are unclaimed lands. As he spoke, he stretched out his finger to a location on the mountain wave map. This is the old man's land. Lingyu Peak. Oh, Yongkai raised his eyebrows. With the Lingyu Peak as a reference, the structure of the mountain wave map became clearer. Of the 27 main Lingfeng peaks, except for about 10 that were occupied by the elders of the temple, there were still a dozen or so left. There are so many, Yongkai looks at it, quite a bit of a feeling of being confused, and it is difficult to make a decision. Chu Ran pointed at a spiritual peak and said, this place is not bad, why don't you think about it? Yongkai looked in the direction of his finger, pointed to a nearby mountain and said, if I remember correctly, this is Purple Bamboo Peak, right? Yes, this is the Purple Bamboo Peak of Junior Sister Gao. Forget it. Yongkai looked disgusted. In the entire Qingyang Temple, the person he fears the most is Gao Shueding. Although with his current strength, if he really wants to fight with Gao Shueding will never be able to do it, but being a neighbor to Gao Shueding can still be avoided. Well, then you can see for yourself. Chu Ran didn't comment. After picking for a while, Yongkai suddenly pointed his hand and said, just this Lingfeng. Chu Ran glanced at it, nodded slightly, and said, Lingzhan Peak is not bad. It's just that the location is relatively remote, and the mountain isn't too big. The 27 spiritual peaks where the elders can live are generally not much different. Whether it is the scale or the richness of the spiritual energy of the world, they are all at the level of the main peak after all. It is just that this Lingjian peak is far away from the core area of the Qingyang Mountains. It's a little farther away, but it's actually not a big deal with the cultivation base of Emperor Senior Realm. Since you have already chosen, junior brother, let's go to Lingjian Peak. With a wave of Chu Ran's big hand, Shan Botu disappeared instantly, revealing the appearance of the sand table again, and said again, your elder order, junior brother, can be opened. There are many restrictions on Lingjian Peak. After you go there, remember to refine the elder order and Lingjian Peak's ground veins into one. From then on, Lingjian Peak is your territory. Without your permission, even the old man can't do it freely in and out. Thank you, senior brother Chu. Yang Kai clasped his fists together. Go. Chu Ran waved his hand. Yang Kai immediately bid farewell and left. After leaving Lingyu Peak, I identified the direction and flew all the way to Lingjian Peak. But after a cup of tea, a straight and steep mountain peak comes into view from a distance. At first glance, this mountain peak looks like a sharp sword piercing the earth, with a threatening momentum, and the name of Lingjian Peak comes from this. Come. The mountain peak is majestic and precipitous, the terrain is extremely high, the halfway up the mountain is surrounded by clouds and fog, and there are many birds and animals in the mountain peak, just like a fairyland. Yang Kai glanced at it from a distance and was very satisfied with it. Although he is the lord of the Lingxiao Palace, occupying a large Lingchuan mountain, and is just an elder guest in the Qingyang Temple, but no matter what, he now has his own foothold in the southern region. This scene is very gratifying. Turning into a streamer, he flew towards the top of the mountain. When he landed, he looked left and right, and several exquisite halls came into view. Although no one lived in them all year round, they were not repaired, but they were guarded by formations, but these halls were not a trace of dilapidation, even spotless. Standing at the same place, the spiritual sense was released, pouring down like a tide, covering the entire Lingjian Peak, and Yang Kai knew the situation of this Lingjian Peak like the palm of his hand. After accepting his spiritual sense, Yang Kai walked around, inspecting his territory like a king of a country. After wandering around for half a day, when Yang Kai returned to the mountaintop hall again, he couldn't help being stunned. Senior brothers and sisters, why are you here? Gao Shueting and the others were waiting here. Seeing Yang Kai returning, Chen Qian pursed her lips and smiled, come to congratulate you. Yang Kai chuckled and said, didn't you already congratulate me yesterday? Why, no welcome. Gao Shueting looked at Yang Kai coldly. Yang Kai was startled, and hurriedly said, how dare, I'm overjoyed, everyone please. While speaking, he invited the elders of the temple into the hall. Not waiting for Yang Kai to settle down, Gao Shueting suddenly waved her hand, spreading hundreds of altars of fine wine on the ground, and said boldly, another elder has been added to the temple, everyone will not return today if they are not drunk. As soon as this statement came out, everyone was shocked. Chen Qian's pretty face turned pale and said, senior sister, don't be impulsive. Di Rong's expression also changed, and he stepped back involuntarily, saying, suddenly remembered that the palace master has something to do with me, so I'll take a step first. Huh. Gao Shueting squinted her eyes and spewed out a note from her nostrils. Di Rong froze in place all of a sudden, turned his head to look at Yukun, hoping that he could save himself from the fire and water, but he saw Yukun was dripping with cold sweat, his face was pale and bloodless. To be continued. ... Opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. Chapter 2777 3 Taboos. Phone reading. It seems that a lot of mistakes have been made in the background revision of the author here. Last night, a chapter was repeatedly updated, which caused many book friends to subscribe repeatedly. I will discuss with the editor how to do it later, and see if I can release a free one. The chapter came out, and I am so used to this revision, I don't know how to update it, and I was busy for a long time early in the morning. Pin Shu Wang www. Versus ODTW. COM. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Half a day later, a group of people huddled together in a corner, their faces turned pale, and Chen Qian and another female elder were trembling even more. Yang Kai looked in horror at the wonderful figure in the hall holding a long sword of emperor treasure, dancing like an elf, and swallowed hard. What's the situation? The figure was moving ups and downs, crumbling, holding a wine jar, with red eyes, taking a sip from time to time, drinking a good wine, and drinking to the point, it was even more uncontrollable. A long sword shook out blossoming sword flowers, the cold light is wanton. Di-rong said in a shy voice. Junior brother Yang, you started late, and I'm afraid you don't know the 3 major taboos of our temple. I didn't expect to see them on the first day I became an elder. Really? Congratulations. Yang Kai was stunned. 3 major taboos. Which 3 major taboos? Chen Qian whispered. Hall Master's birthday, senior brother Chu is angry, and senior sister Gao is drinking. What kind of taboo is this? Yang Kai looked surprised, and then glanced at the person in front of him, only to feel that the noble and holy image of this woman in his mind collapsed and disappeared, and now this woman is like the female nerve, wiped the cold sweat from her forehead and said, why does senior sister Gao seem to be a different person after drinking alcohol? Could it be that she was taken away by some evil person? It's not that serious. Yuku quickly waved his hands, and said with a strange expression, it's just that senior sister Gao is not born to drink alcohol. Isn't it? Senior sister Gao is also at the 2nd level of Emperor Senior. No matter how powerful the spirit wine is, it can be easily resolved by urging Emperor Yuan. How did it evolve into this situation? Chen Qian sighed, it's not our palace master's fault. What's the matter with Palace Master Guan? Yang Kai was amazed, only felt that what he saw today, even his own 3 views had been subverted. Chen Qian said, senior sister Gao was raised by the palace master, you should know about this, right? Well, I have vaguely heard of it. Yang Kai nodded. Chen Qian showed a dejected and sad expression, and continued, when Miss Gao was young, the palace master would force her to drink, and every time she drank, she would get drunk. As a result, she drank too much once. She went crazy for several days and nights and did not recover. After that time, senior sister Gao will be like this once she touches wine. In a few words, Gao Shueting's tragic childhood life was outlined. It really made me sad when I smelled it, and shed tears when I heard it. It's just, utterly devoid of conscience. It's outrageous. Yang Kai cursed angrily. The elders aroused by this remark resonated for a while, and nodded one after another, without concealing their contempt for the palace master in their eyes. Dazed for a moment, Yang Kai said, since she can't drink alcohol, she should know it herself, and where did she get so much spirit wine? As he spoke, Yang Kai took a sip of the wine and praised, this is still the spirit wine that has been brewed for hundreds of years, tisk tisk. Ida's just ruined like this, eh? Who knows where she got it? Chen Qian was about to cry, maybe she is in a good mood these days. Last night she went to my Xiaochenfeng to chat with me for most of the night before returning. Another female elder answered, she came to see me in the middle of the night. Yang Kai sighed, what should I do now? When will she finish her madness? Chen Qian said, you'll be fine after drinking the wine. Yang Kai swept his eyes and said with a headache, there are still 100 altars left, how long will it take to drink? According to her speed, it will take at least a few days and nights. Other than that, there is no other way. Chen Qian shook her head. Yang Kai pondered for a while. A look of determination flashed across his face, and he stood up tall. Junior brother Yang, what are you doing? Yuku was shocked. Drink with her, drink the wine early and finish the job early. While speaking, he strode forward, even though there are thousands of people, I will go. All the elders instantly showed a look of admiration, looking at his back. I was shocked for a while. Young, Di-rong shook his head and sighed. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and leave while junior brother Yang is entangled with her. Yuku winked at everyone, and glanced at Yang Kai who was suddenly hugged by Gao Shueting's neck, squeezed his mouth open and poured wine down his throat, immediately looked away, unable to bear to look any more. Junior brother, we remember your kindness, and there will be rewards in the future. Everyone understood, and each of them held their breath and tiptoed towards the layman. Just after walking to the entrance of the main hall, a horrified horde suddenly struck, brushing the leader Yukun's cheek and flying away. A few strands of black hair were chopped off, flying in the air, and a deep ravine was formed on the ground. If it wasn't for the protection formation here, I am afraid that this blow can cause the hall to collapse. Want to leave? Gao Shueting's face was icy cold, like a new wind blowing from the 9 Netherlands. Even the air seemed to freeze, and the icy voice echoed in everyone's ears, making everyone feel as if they were falling into an ice cellar. Chilled, let me take another step and see. Chen Qian looked at Gao Shueting pitifully, and whispered, Senior sister Gao, you are drunk. Gao Shueting threw Yang Kai away, and suddenly appeared at the gate, blocking the way, slashed down with the long sword in her hand, and looked at Chen Qian with a force. "Where am I drunk?" Chen Qian was at a loss for what to do. At this moment, the dignified Emperor Zunjing was like a mouse seeing a cat, unable to utter a single word. "Don't talk nonsense, come drink." Gao Shueding hugged Chen Qian, clamped her neck in her arms, grabbed the wine jar and poured it into her mouth. Chen Qian took a few sips before she couldn't help but spit it out. The wine dripped down her slender neck and wet her clothes, and the image of the gentle Xiaojiabiyu disappeared. After drinking a jar of wine, Gao Shueding let go of Chen Qian, throwing it away like a shoe, and the latter suddenly collapsed on the ground like soft mud. Her hands hammered on her chest, coughing continuously, and her face turned red. "Ha ha 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 ha," Gao Shueding laughed. Her mood seemed to be extremely good. She turned her beautiful eyes and stared at Yukun. Yukun immediately jumped up, stretched out his hand to take a shot, grabbed a jar of wine in his hand, and said quickly, "Sister Gao, don't bother you, brother, I will do it myself." After speaking, he raised his head and drank, extremely heroic. Only then did Gao Shueding show a satisfied expression. Her beautiful eyes turned again. But all the elders who were targeted by her looked like mourning concubines, and hurriedly got their own wine and drank it in big gulps. Gao Shueding laughed, completely lost her mind, shook her long sword again, and danced a sword dance in the hall. For a while, the sword energy flew across, hitting Yang Kai and others to flee in embarrassment. "Junior brother Yang." Chen Qian finally regained her composure, then wiped the corner of her mouth with her hand, and kindly reminded, "Don't try to get drunk, otherwise." "Otherwise?" Yang Kai asked in horror. It was a little late to ask. Gao Shueding suddenly appeared in front of him like a ghost, grabbed his collar as soon as she stretched out her hand, lifted him up like a chicken, and said in a grim voice, "You boy, you are dishonest. Dare to cheat." While speaking, the long sword in his hand moved tremblingly, as if it could be released at any time. Yang Kai's face was pale, he clamped his legs tightly, and exclaimed, "Senior Sister Gao, please be merciful." "HMPH, do you want me to be merciful?" Gao Shueding snorted coldly, looked Yang Kai up and down, nodded and said, "It's easy." With a flick of the long sword, a jar of spirit wine appeared on the tip of the sword and was delivered to Yang Kai. Yang Kai suddenly showed a bitter expression, but under Gao Shueding's compelling gaze, he could only grit his teeth and pick up the wine jar. "Booze. Okay." Gao Shueding clapped her hands and jumped her feet, with a happy expression on her face, like a little girl who got a novelty toy. After Yang Kai finished drinking, another jar of wine was brought to her face. Yang Kai looked at her with resentment. "Do you want to drink?" Gao Shueding's face suddenly turned cold. "Drink, drink, drink." Yang Kai stared at the long sword lying under his crotch, and pecked at the chicken on his head. After drinking the spirit wine that had been brewed for hundreds of years in 13 altars, Yang Kai hiccuped, swayed, and under the sympathetic gaze of many elders, he tried his best to say, "Brothers and sisters, the younger brother will go first step." When the words fell, he fell on his back. "Trash." Gao Shueding kicked Yang Kai mercilessly, sneered, leaned on Yang Kai's body, took Yang Kai as a back, held the wine jar with both hands, and opened her mouth to drink. The mellow and dry wine turned into a rain arrow, and it was drunk in 3 to 5 breaths. With Yang Kai's lessons learned, many elders didn't dare to hesitate any longer, and each held a jar of fine wine to drink. For a while, the entire hall was filled with gloom and mist, as if the Qingyang temple was about to be wiped out. The spirit wine is full of strength, but it can't be used to dissolve the drunkenness. Even the emperors can't bear it if they drink it like this. After a while, Chen Qian couldn't hold on any longer. She just felt that the whole world was shaking, as if several mountains were pressing on her eyelids. She couldn't open them anyway. She lay on the ground with a crooked body, and fell asleep. After a while, another female elder followed suit. Yukun and Dirong were brought down one after another. Half a day later, the hall was full of snoring noises. All the elders of Qingyang Temple fell to the ground. If others saw this scene, they would be shocked. Never before have the high-ranking emperors lost their composure like this, and not just one or two, but a group of them. Only Gao Shueding persevered in fighting against those fine wines. It wasn't until she drank the last pot that she smashed her mouth, her body softened and she fell down. In broad daylight, you guys gather a crowd to drink too much, what a disgrace. Onling Yu Peak, Chu Ran, the deputy hall master, slapped the table loudly, his beard curled up, and a group of Qingyang Temple elders in front of him all lowered their eyebrows shunmu, with an embarrassed expression. You are all elders of the temple, all of you hold important positions and are the mainstay of the temple. If a strong enemy invaded yesterday, what should my temple's thousands of years of foundation do? Chu Ran said in anger, spit stars flying around. Brother, we know we were wrong. Gao Shueding lowered her head and readily admitted her mistake. No, it's wrong. Chu Ran was even more annoyed, glaring at Gao Shueding and shouted, just one sentence is enough to know that it's wrong. To be continued. This book comes from A&A-C1/2. Chapter 2778. Chu Ran is angry. The issue of repeated subscriptions was reported to the editor. The editor said that the technical department had returned the coins for repeated subscriptions to the readers, and then could not send free chapters. Hey, once the backend was revised, many authors couldn't log in yesterday, and I'm not used to it. Gao Shueding turned her head and muttered in a low voice, what are you going to do if you admit it all wrong? No wonder you can't find a weekend partner. You deserve to be lonely until you die. What did you say? Chu Ran's forehead twitched. It's nothing. Gao Shueding faced Chu Ran's violent storm with a cold face, and said very responsibly, but this matter happened because of me. If the senior brother wants to punish, just punish me alone, it's none of their business. As soon as the words were spoken, many elders nodded one after another. Yuewen said, that's right, senior brother, this incident was caused by junior sister Gao. We are all victims. If there is a punishment, she must be punished alone, and it will be severely punished. Not punishing is not enough to anger the common people. Yang Kai stared at him, as if meeting Yuewen for the first time. Chu Ran sneered, who else is forcing you to drink? Di Rong scratched his face and said, brother's eyes are like a torch, that's exactly what it is. Fart. Chu Ran was furious, none of you can escape what happened yesterday. When a group of people heard this, they all looked downcast and dejected. If you want to be punished, you will be fined, what are you talking about? Gao Shueding scolded, with an extremely impatient expression. You have no sense of dignity. Chu Ran slapped the table again, and after being angry for a while, he said, the impact of yesterday's incident was extremely bad. If the disciples know how to follow the example, then what else is there in my temple? The future can be said, in view of this, I will punish you to deduct 3,000 points from the elders. What? No, senior brother Chu. 3,000 elder contributions, kill me. Brother, please be merciful. A group of elders immediately yelled, as if Chu Ran had cut off a few pounds of flesh. Chen Qian looked at Chu Ran pitifully and said, senior brother, don't be like this. She launched an offensive with gentleness, she almost didn't act like a baby. Stop embarrassing yourself here, and if you dare to say a word, another 2,000 points will be deducted. Chu Ran has a stern and selfless hateful face, and her words are like iron. In a word, it seemed as if they had pinched everyone's deathbed, and the yelling stopped abruptly. Humph. Chu Ran looked at Gao Shueding coldly, as for you, you are the culprit. In addition to deducting 3,000 points of elder contributions, you will be deducted another 1,000 points, totaling 4,000 points of elder contributions, and you will be imprisoned for another 3 months. Confinement. If you commit the crime again next time, you will be severely punished. Gao Shueding curled her lips, obviously dissatisfied, but she didn't say much. Yang Kai was concerned at the side. When he was a registered disciple of Qingyang Temple, he didn't have much contact with these elders. Even if there were occasional intersections, there was a gap in their status and they couldn't see their true temperament. Now that he is in the position of an elder, after sitting on an equal footing with them, he has a comprehensive understanding of the noble sentiments of this group. For a while, Yang Kai only felt that his cognition had been refreshed. A bright gaze came over, Yang Kai swallowed his saliva, and greeted him with a dry smile. Chu Ran pondered for a while, and said, Junior brother Yang, since this is your first offense, I don't care about you for the time being, and many punishments can be avoided. Yang Kai heard the words, his expression was happy, and he hurriedly said, thank you senior brother Chu, senior brother is really a kind person unparalleled in the world. When the words fell, 7 or 8 pairs of hate stared at him. Only this time, the next time will not be an example, if there is a next time. Never again. Yang Kai swore, it's best like this. Chu Ran sighed deeply, and said earnestly and kindly, Junior Yang, you have achieved such an achievement at a young age, and you will have a bright future in the future, so don't get along with this group of people. It is the heart. In a word, Yang Kai didn't answer it, and it didn't matter if he didn't answer it, it was extremely embarrassing. Fortunately, Chu Ran didn't say anything more, and reprimanded everyone a little, then waved them away. A group of elders also offered amnesty like a dream, and hurriedly left. After leaving Lingyu Peak, a group of elders were all downcast. The leader Gao Shueding kept muttering, vaguely cursing something. She was chilled all over her body, telling strangers not to enter. It was simply appalling. Hey, I just mentioned the 3 taboos of the temple yesterday. I never thought that you would be lucky enough to see 2 of them, junior brother Yang. Youku sighed, patted Yang Kai's shoulder, and asked with concern, Junior brother, you're not scared, are you? It's okay. Yang Kai nodded and asked curiously, why is everyone so afraid of senior brother Chu? Chen Qian leaned forward and whispered, Brother Chu is not only the vice master of the temple, but also the elder of the punishment hall. He is in charge of the elders of the hall master and the disciples of all levels. He is in charge of the criminal law of the temple. Who dare not be afraid of him? Even the hall master has to give some face. So that's the case. Yang Kai understood something, and asked again, then what is the elders' contribution? Just now, when Chu Ran said that they would deduct 3,000 elders' contribution, many elders looked like dead parents. This elders' contribution is obviously a good thing. Yukun explained. Brother Yang, you have only been an elder of the temple for a few days, so you haven't come into contact with this thing. The contribution of the elders, every major sect has it. Just like the temple, the disciples have the contributions of the disciples, and the elders have contributions, elder contributions. These contribution points can be exchanged for many benefits from the temple. Intuitively speaking, a little elder contribution is equivalent to 1,000 top-grade source crystals. So expensive. Yang Kai was taken aback, and silently calculated in his heart, 3,000 elder contributions, wouldn't it be equal to 3 million high-grade source crystals? The 3 million high-grade source crystals that I drank in this meal are gone. No wonder the elders of these temples feel very distressed. 3 million high-grade source crystals is not a small amount to them. Although elder contributions can be exchanged for source crystals, the annual share is limited. Each person can only exchange up to 2,000 points per year. If you want more elder contributions, you can only do something that is good for the temple. Things, such as completing various elder tasks. Generally speaking, the elder contributions we save every year are no more than 5 or 6,000 points. That's right, the contributions of the elders are also very useful to us. Let me just say one thing. If you want to enter the Immortal Travel Mirror, you need to consume the contributions of the elders. Only 2,000 points of the contributions of the elders can enter once. Entering the Immortal Travel Mirror requires the contribution of the elders. Yang Kai was taken aback, he really didn't know about it. Yukun patted Yang Kai's shoulder, and said earnestly, Junior brother Yang, let's work hard together in the future. Yang Kai responded casually, but saw Yukun approaching, mysteriously said, let me tell you in advance, in March, it will be the birthday of the palace master. At that time, go out if you can, or just go out. Shut up and never show up easily. Chen Qian nodded sharply at the side, with a look of deep understanding. Yes, junior brother Yang, you have already seen 2 of the 3 major taboos in the temple, and you will never want to see the 3rd again. Yang Kai's face turned pale and said, can it be more terrifying than senior sister Gao's drinking? Chen Qian evaluated it carefully, and said, that's not likely, it's not a good thing anyway. Yukun couldn't help shivering. Don't talk, I have to go back and take care of myself, my heart hurts so much. I'm leaving too. Junior brother can go to my Shaochenfeng when I have time. Chen Qian turned around and drove to the other side. After a while, many elders dispersed and went back to each peak. Gao Shueding, who took the first step, had long since disappeared. She probably went back to Zizhu Peak. Chu Ran locked her in confinement for 3 months, which would definitely make her angry for a while. Yang Kai returned to his Spirit Sword Peak, looked at the messy wine jars in Spirit Sword Hall, and sighed. He reached out to pick up the wine jar and threw it down the mountain. When he reached the 10th or so wine jars, suddenly a black figure jumped out of the jars and rushed towards him. Yang Kai didn't panic, stretched out a finger to lightly point at the black shadow, and immediately heard a sob. The black shadow shot back and landed on the ground. Looking down, Yang Kai was a little surprised. I saw a small black beast on the ground, about the length of a palm. At first glance it looked like a puppy, crawling on the ground, bared its teeth at Yang Kai, and let out a demonstrative bark from its throat. Where is the little thing? Yang Kai was amazed. The most important thing is that he didn't find any trace of this little beast before. Although he didn't deliberately search for anything, there is no reason why such a living thing could not be found hiding in the wine jar. But in fact, Yang Kai didn't realize it until the little beast suddenly made trouble. Scanning with his divine sense, he found that there was nothing unusual about this little beast. It would appear in the wine jar of the Spirit Sword Hall, and it was probably attracted by the aroma of the wine. There are many birds and beasts in Lingjian Peak, and this little beast should be the local resident of Lingjian Peak. After watching for a while, Yang Kai sneered, stretched out his hand and grabbed the little beast, but he didn't want the seemingly ordinary little beast to sense the danger and intended to dodge, but was still caught by Yang Kai and slipped in his hand. Captured in an instant, the little beast suddenly restrained its hostility, drooped its tongue, and huffed at Yang Kai for a while, as if it was really a puppy. You know how to judge the situation. Yang Kai grinned, and with a slight force on his hand, he threw the little beast out. After dealing with this inexplicable visitor, Yang Kai took out the elder's jade plate and opened the restriction of Lingjian Peak. According to Chu Ran's teaching, he prepared to refine the land veins and jade plate of Lingjian Peak. Only in this way can he truly become the master of Lingjian Peak. Refining is not difficult, but it consumes a lot of spiritual mind. It is easy for Yang Kai to find out the location of the earth's veins and grasp the fluctuations of the earth's veins. After 3 or 5 days of refining like this, a ray of light flashed vaguely on the jade plate. At the same time, a strange feeling arose in Yang Kai's heart, as if the jade plate in his hand had merged with the entire Spirit Sword Peak, regardless of each other. With a thought, the entire Lingjian Peak is under his control. Refining is complete. As soon as he put away the jade plate, Yang Kai suddenly noticed a familiar wave of power appearing outside the restriction. His face showed surprise. He opened a hole in the restriction and let the outsiders in. After a while, a stream of light flew down in front of the Spirit Sword Hall, revealing Gao Shueting's figure. To be continued. Chapter 2779. Senior Sister Gao, why are you here? Yang Kai was shocked. While speaking, he quietly looked outside, making sure no one had noticed, and then closed the gate of the Spirit Sword Hall. Gao Shueting frowned and said, "What are you doing sneakily? What are your plans?" Yang Kai stared and said, "What can I have planned, but you, who were imprisoned by Senior Brother Chu for 3 months, still dare to run around. If Senior Brother Chu finds out, you will definitely be deducted from your elder contribution to death. Eh?" Gao Shueting sneered. His old man just locked me in confinement, and he didn't say that he locked me in Zijufeng. This place of the temple, I can go wherever I want. Is this okay? Yang Kai was shocked. The most important thing was that he was shocked by Gao Shueting's old name. Yang Kai felt that it was really necessary for him to get to know Gao Shueting again. Gao Shueting sneered again and again. Sooner or later, he will take the position of the elder of the execution hall. Let him taste what it's like to be detained for the elder's contributions and locked up in solitary confinement. Yang Kai's mood was a little complicated. He didn't know if his decision to agree to Gao Shueting to join Qingyang Temple to become the elder of Keiqing was correct. The so-called upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. He originally thought that Gao Shueting was a noble and holy woman, but now it seems that she was brought up by Wen Zishan. Her childhood memories have been destroyed, and her body and mind have not grown up healthily. How noble can such a person be? Holy. The perception in the past is just a disguised appearance. After a real in-depth understanding, the 3 perceptions will be ruined. By the way, Senior Sister Gao, why did you come to see me? Yang Kai didn't want to discuss with her about seeking power and usurping the throne, so he quickly changed the subject. Well, there's something wrong. Gao Shueting nodded solemnly, and immediately palmed an extra space ring, handing it to Yang Kai. Yang Kai took it suspiciously, swept his divine sense inside, and raised his eyebrows. So many emperor-level elixir, is this the benefit of becoming an elder of the temple? To these. Gao Shueting looked at him, and said lightly, "You misunderstood, this is not your welfare, Lingjian Peak is your welfare." Well, if you want, you can also ask Senior Sister Chen Qian to ask for some service disciples to come to Lingjian Peak. Managing the flowers and plants of Lingjian Peak for you is also a kind of welfare. As for these spiritual plants, what for? I want you to refine it into a panacea. Gao Shueting replied. Refining into a panacea? Yang Kai's face darkened. With so many emperor-level panacea, don't we want to refine into an emperor's pill? That's right, it's refining the emperor alchemy. Gao Shueting nodded. I don't have my own emperor alchemist in the temple, but I have accumulated a lot of emperor-level elixir. It's rare for you to join, so naturally I will leave it to you. Quote. Why me? Yang Kai was speechless. Gao Shueding smiled lightly and said, it's hard work for those who are able. Junior brother, you refined something like Tamiao pill in the land of 4 seasons. Although it has been many years, others may not remember it, but as the leader of the team, I am proud of it. But I remember it clearly, I have inquired about it, and if you can refine Tamiao Dan, it means that you have almost reached the level of an emperor alchemist at that time. After a few years, you should have improved in the way of alchemy. Who else can you give these elixirs to if you don't want to dispose of them? Don't we let the elders of the temple chew peonies and waste everything. By the way, you seem to have opened a furnace to refine a furnace of emperor pills at my purple bamboo peak the day before yesterday. Tisk tisk, it took only half a day to refine it. It's amazing, although there are a lot of medicinal materials, but I believe that with your ability, you should be able to refine it after a year or so of retreat. Yang Kai was silent for a while, and said seriously, can I refuse? Yes. Gao Shueding nodded, no one forced you to do this. Then I refuse. Yang Kai sent the ring back. Gao Shueding took the ring, turned around and left, sighing as she walked. Hey, I don't appreciate the kind help, that's all, I'm afraid you won't be able to get in that magic mirror for the rest of your life. Yang Kai immediately raised his hand. Senior sister, stop. Gao Shueding turned her head and looked at him with a smile. What advice do you have, junior brother? Yang Kai clenched his fist and coughed lightly, and said, Senior sister, I forgot if you didn't mention the divine travel mirror. A few days ago, I said that I wanted to enter the divine travel mirror. You said someone is using it, so don't disturb it easily. Dare to ask when can I go in? Do you have elders to contribute? Gao Shueding asked back. No. Gao Shueding sneered and said, you enter once at 2,000 points, you don't even have elder contribution points, and you still want to enter the mirror, you're still drunk. But last time you were not the elder of the temple last time. Now that you are an elder of the temple, you must follow the rules. Otherwise, anyone who wants to enter can enter, and the experience of the magic mirror is not so precious. Senior sister, how can you do this? Yang Kai was heartbroken. Gao Shueding turned around and said earnestly, Junior brother, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. As the only emperor alchemist in my temple, you have to shoulder the responsibility of refining the emperor alchemy for the temple. Yang Kai gritted his teeth and said, Senior sister, you tricked me into becoming the elder of the temple a few days ago. It turned out that you had this plan. I am so young, and you have the heart to lie to me. Gao Shueding smiled and said, that's what I planned when you refined the Tamiao pill. It really blinded my eyes. Yang Kai was heartbroken, as if a good thing had been shattered, and when he woke up, his heart was twisted like a knife, and his face was full of blood and tears. Gao Shueding said, don't be angry. If you don't want to make alchemy, there is another way. Yang Kai gritted his teeth and said, I hope senior sister will enlighten me. Didn't you say last time that the 5 disciples under Emperor Miao Dan's seat are the chief alchemists of your Lingxiao palace? Since there are people under your command, you don't need to do it yourself. That's a good idea. Yang Kai stroked his chin and thought about it. After a while, Yang Kai had made up his mind and said, what's the benefit? 1 emperor pill, 10 elder contributions. As long as you can take out 200 emperor pills, you can enter the immortal travel mirror once. Joke. Yang Kai jumped up and said, 10 elders contribution is only 10,000 high-grade source crystals, which emperor alchemist makes such a cheap move. Damn it, those bastards ruined my big business, and even told you the exchange ratio. Gao Shueding's face darkened, and she muttered angrily. Yang Kai said with a black face, I can hear it. Gao Shueding curled her lips and said, then what do you want? 1 emperor pill, 100 elder contributions, so can be accepted. 100 points of elder contribution, that is, 100,000 top-grade source crystals. Generally speaking, it is impossible for an emperor alchemist to refine a furnace of pills with only 1 pill, basically there are at least 4 or 5 pills. And the handling fee for the emperor alchemist outside to make 1 shot is at least 500,000 high-grade source crystals. Yang Kai's asking price is almost the same as the temple looking for the emperor alchemist to make alchemy from outside. 20 o'clock. Gao Shueding counter-offered unceremoniously. 100 points. Yang Kai did not back down. Dream your spring and autumn dream. 100 points is 100 points. At most 30 o'clock. After a difficult tug of war, Bargaining with each other, it finally ended with Yang Kai making concessions, and they agreed on an emperor pill with 50 points of elder contribution, with no upper limit. Come, sign this contract of spirit and soul. Gao Shueding flipped her hand, and a contract exuding strange fluctuations appeared. It was the contract of spirit and soul produced by Yuewen Palace. This thing is quite common in the eastern region. But in the southern region, it is a thing with a price but no market, and I don't know where she got it. Senior sister, are you too underestimating people? Junior brother, although I am young, I will not go back on my word. Yang Kai had an insulted expression. Just sign it, Gao Shueding urged. Yang Kai couldn't hold her back, so he could only brand his own soul on the soul deed. After the contract was signed, Gao Shueding immediately smiled, and carefully put away the soul contract, reached out and patted Yang Kai's shoulder and said, Junior brother, senior sister's future happiness depends on you. These words made Yang Kai quite flattered, but after thinking for a while, his face suddenly sank, and he said shyly, Senior sister, this is the task that Brother Chu gave you, right? This task is completed, how much elder contribution can you get? Same as you, Gao Shueding said without raising her head. What does it mean to be like me? The old bachelor offered me a price of 100 elders to contribute an emperor pill, and let me persuade you to make alchemy for the temple. I will give you 50, and I will have 50 for the rest. Naturally, I will be the same as you. Hey. Yang Kai's smile suddenly became extremely sinister. It's really embarrassing for you to tell me this news with a face of indifference. Senior sister, you are really a good person, I will remember you. Gao Shueding said indifferently. Young people, there are always thorns and thorns on the road of growth, and you will learn a lot of wisdom, and you will get better in the future. I really want to thank senior sister for teaching. Yang Kai popped out a few words from between his teeth, only feeling the qi and blood in his chest, and his throat was sweet. Gao Shueding smiled sweetly. Don't forget, you signed the contract of spirit and soul. Well, you work hard, and when you can enter the magic mirror depends on your progress. Turning around, stretched lazily. Lazy, opened the gate of Spirit Sword Hall, looked up at the sky and said, the weather is fine. With a flick of her delicate body, it turned into a stream of light and disappeared without a trace. Yang Kai covered his chest with his hands, his face full of pain. Half a day later, in a remote valley at the back of Lingjian Peak, Yang Kai held an elder jade plate, and with a thought, he mobilized the ground veins and the restraining power of Lingjian Peak to hide a corner of the valley. With this action, even if Emperor Zun's three-layered mirror came to this valley, there would be no sign of being hidden. Yang Kai sighed, took out various materials from his space ring, and prepared to set up a space law formation here. He didn't intend to hide this point, and even explained it to Wen Zishan on purpose, because once Qingyang Temple and Lingxiao Palace are connected, it will be of great benefit to both sects. Watching Qingxi is currently collecting specialty materials from the Northern Territory, and as long as they are transported to the Southern Territory, they will definitely make a fortune. Correspondingly, if the Qingyang Temple is allowed to collect materials from the Southern region and send them to the Northern region, it will definitely earn a lot of money. Not to mention connecting the two places with a space magic circle, the two sects can watch and help each other. To be continued. Chapter 2780. The sparrow is small and has all the internal organs. Although nothing can be seen in the short-term arrangement of the space magic circle, but in the long run, it will have a huge impact on the two sects. This is also one of the reasons why Yang Kai agreed to become the elder of Qingyang Temple, because as long as he becomes an elder, he will have his own spirit peak, which is much simpler to arrange. But now being tricked by Gao Shueding once, Yang Kai had to reconsider. If Gao Shueding knew about this kind of thing, then Ji Ying might become the exclusive alchemist of the temple in the future, and Lingxiao Palace would never want to get involved again. For the time being, it is better to proceed this matter quietly, and when the time is ripe in the future, it will not be too late to tell the whole story. Half a day later, a brand new space array was set up, and an elder jade plate mobilized the power of Lingjian Peak's ground veins to hide it. Unless Yang Kai himself was willing, even Wen Zishan would not be able to find it here. Inlaid the source crystal on the magic circle, stimulated the power of the space law, and Yang Kai disappeared with a flash of light. The next moment, Yang Kai's figure appeared on the space magic circle of Lingxiao Palace. After a while, Yang Kai found Ji Ying on Yaodan Peak, the main peak of Lingxiao Palace. Seeing each other again, Ji Ying seemed extremely surprised. Brother Yang is back so soon. Hey, Yang Kai looked helpless, took the tea offered by the eldest disciple, sat down, and said in a wan mood, "It doesn't matter if you don't mention it." Ji Ying smiled, although she didn't know what happened to Yang Kai, but she could see that he was in a bad mood, so she took out a jade bottle and threw it over. Yang Kai took it and asked suspiciously, "What is this?" "Dragon blood pill," Ji Ying explained. "It is a panacea made from the dragon blood flower from last time as the main material. It should be useful to Brother Yang." "Oh, this is the dragon blood pill." Yang Kai was extremely surprised. He opened the jade bottle and poured out 3 blood-red pills from the bottle. Each pill was about the size of a fingernail and exuded a bloody scent. It is not pungent, but it gives people a feeling of blood boiling. And judging from its appearance, this dragon blood pill should be a low-grade emperor-level panacea. It's the first time refining this kind of panacea, it's inevitable that it's a bit unfamiliar, and in the end only 3 pills were made. I hope Brother Yang is not to blame. Ji Ying said a little guilty. Yang Kai laughed. Brother Ji is too modest, 3 is already a great achievement. Although Ji Ying is an alchemist of the emperor and a direct disciple of Emperor Miao Dan, but the first time he refined a kind of elixir, he was able to make 3 elixirs, which is enough to demonstrate his profound alchemy skills. If it were an ordinary emperor alchemist, he would definitely not be as good as Ji Ying. Ji Ying kept waving her hands, and said with a wry smile, "Brother Yang, praise." In front of Yang Kai, who used alchemy to beat him upright, Ji Ying really couldn't be proud. After a pause, Ji Ying said, "But then again, although Ji has come to Lingxiao Palace, what exactly does Brother Yang want me to do? A few days ago, I went to the Chief Hua, and she just let me rest for a while, and did not assign me a specific task. Since Ji is now the chief alchemist of the Lingxiao Palace, he can't sit here and wait to die, right? Ji has no specialties, only alchemy." Yang Kai smiled and said, "What I want is Brother Ji's alchemy technique, take a look at this." While speaking, Yang Kai threw the ring that Gao Shueding gave him. Ji Ying took it, swept away her spiritual thoughts, and was slightly stunned. So many emperor-level elixir. Yang Kai Dao. "Brother Ji, let's watch the refinement, don't worry, just let nature take its course." "Okay, I will live up to Brother Yang's entrustment. There is another matter to ask Brother Ji." Speaking. Yang Kai looked serious, and said, "I don't know how much Brother Ji knows about Shungshan pill." Shungshan pill? Ji Ying's expression froze, and her breathing became slightly rapid. Could it be possible that Brother Yang has Shungshan fruit? Yang Kai thought that I have not only raw fruit, but also a raw fruit tree, but the mature fruit on that fruit tree has been picked, and the rest may take a long time to grow. Without hiding anything, he stretched out his hand and took out a raw body fruit. Ji Ying's eyes were bright. She got up quickly, took the Shungshan fruit over carefully, swept her mind, looked at it carefully. The more she looked at it, the more delighted she was. She kept nodding her head and said, "It really is the Shungshan fruit, exactly the same as the records in the ancient books. Isn't it the thing extinct long ago, how can it still appear now?" While watching and scratching his ears and cheeks, he couldn't put it down for this fruit. The so-called extinct thing is just that no one has discovered it. I also got this thing by accident. The extinct thing in Yang Kai's hand is more than one raw body fruit, so he has a deep understanding of this. Ji Ying raised her head suddenly. "Brother Yang wants to refine Shungshan pill." "Exactly." Yang Kai nodded, a little confused. "I thought about refining it myself, and the materials are almost together, but I always feel something is wrong. If the refining fails, there is no second life in this world. It worked out, so I want to ask Brother Ji, is there any certainty that the refining will be successful?" Ji Ying frowned and pondered, carefully appraised, and said after a while, "It's less than 30%. 30% is already a very small chance. Even Ji Ying only has a 30% chance of refining it successfully. Even if Yang Kai is better, I'm afraid it's not much better." Looking at it this way, it was indeed a wise decision not to rashly refine Shungshan fruit before. "Maybe please ask the great emperor to take action," Yang Kai asked solemnly. "Master." Ji Ying raised her head, thought about it, and suddenly smiled and said, "Master, he hasn't practiced alchemy since 3,000 years ago, but if it's a raw fruit, there should be an exception. I need to go back to the Pill Valley. Report this matter to Master. As for whether Master will take action, it can only depend on God's will." "That's Brother Lao Ji. There's no rush for this matter. Whenever Brother Ji is free, it's never too late to go back. I'm leaving now." Ji Ying stood up, and it seemed that the appearance of this fruit had attracted the great emperor, otherwise Ji Ying would not have been in such a hurry. Yang Kai naturally did not stay. After sending Ji Ying away, Yang Kai found Hua Qingxi and discussed with her about the Shanbo Tu. Hua Qingxi really knows the Shanbo map, but although she knows the Shanbo map, she doesn't know how it is arranged. After all, she was only promoted to Emperor Zun in the past few years, and many things cannot be touched without reaching the corresponding level. The army of the South Gate should understand, right? Hua Qingxi suddenly thought of one person. Shanbo Tu should be a reduced form of the formation, and the army of the South Gate, as the master of the imperial formation, has no reason to understand this. Call him over. Hua Qingxi immediately took out the communication compass and sent a message to the South Gate army. After waiting for less than a cup of tea, the Nanman army appeared in front of them. Palace Master, Chief Manager, are you looking for me? Nanman Daijin seemed to be living a good life these days, and at this moment his face was full of red, sweeping away his previous depression. Before being tempted by Yang Kai's method of formation, he had no choice but to agree to join Lingxiao Palace for 10 years. In fact, the South Gate army was still quite unhappy, but as time went by, the South Gate army seemed to accept their fate. Especially after Yang Kai let go of the formation arrangement of the entire High Heaven Palace, the South Gate army gradually adapted to the identity of the Chief Emperor Formation Master. Countless materials were consumed, and this feeling of profligacy made him feel inexplicably wonderful. In the past, he was alone, although he was free, but his financial resources were limited. He could not arrange many profound and exquisite formations even if he wanted to, but now he has the entire Lingxiao Palace as a backing to support him. His hands glowed brightly. Nothing could make the Nanman army happier than this. Suddenly found that joining Lingxiao Palace seems to be a good choice. Of course the most important thing is freedom. Although he is now the chief formation master of Lingxiao Palace, basically no one cares about him, and he is completely in a state of letting him play as he pleases. These days he is living very carefree, and he also has a huge blueprint in his heart, just waiting for a long time to set up a shocking formation in the Lingxiao Palace. By that time, maybe even the Emperor's attack can be defended for a while. As for the attack of Emperor's senior realm, as long as the big formation is opened, all can only be deflated outside. This dream is not impossible to realize. The premise is that Ling Xiaogong has enough financial resources to support his actions. Does Lingxiao Palace have the financial resources? The Nanman army thinks there are, and the cross-domain space magic circle is a huge source of income. So when he heard Yang Kai's call, he immediately dropped what he was doing and rushed over without stopping. Hua Qingxi said, "The palace master wants to make a mountain wave picture in the palace, will you do it?" "Chairman, are you underestimating people?" Nanman Daijin squinted at Hua Qingxi, his nostrils sprayed with hot air. "I don't know anything like Shanbotu, what kind of formation master are you calling yourself?" Yang Kai nodded in satisfaction. "Very well, then I will leave this matter to you and Manager Hua." Nanman Daijin suddenly scratched his face again, and said, "However, I can't get things like Shanbotu by myself." "Why?" Yang Kai frowned. "Just now this guy looked like the boss and my second child, but he retreated in a blink of an eye. What does this mean?" Nanman Daijin said, "It is such a palace master. Shanbotu is simple and easy, but difficult and difficult. Not only does he need a formation master, but he also needs a craftsman. The two cooperate to arrange it." "Alchemist. That's right. Strictly speaking, Shanbo map is a kind of secret treasure. Naturally, it needs a refiner. Moreover, the requirements for refiners are also very high. Ordinary crappy refiners can't refine Shanbo map at all. In the end at least it must be at the level of Daoyuan level top rank. The requirements are quite high." Yang Kai touched his chin and pondered, feeling a little difficult. Without him, even though the sparrow in Lingxiao Palace is small, it has all the internal organs. Whether it is an alchemist, a formation master, or even a puppet, there is no such thing as a craftsman. The words of the Nanman army also made Yang Kai realize a problem that cannot be ignored, whether it is time for Lingxiao Palace to recruit or train its own refining master. For a large sect, all kinds of talents are indispensable. To be continued. Chapter 2781 Go to see. Phone reading. It must be unrealistic to cultivate by yourself. The cultivation of a craftsman not only needs to consume a lot of resources, but also needs time to accumulate. Maybe decades, or hundreds of years. At the beginning of the establishment of Lingxiao Palace, how could there be so much time to train a senior craftsman? If everything in the sect is on the right track in the future, it's okay to train your own craftsmen, but now. Watching C obviously also considered this issue, and asked, Master, why don't you go and recruit a refiner? Anyway, the sect does not lack source crystals now. If the price is paid, someone will come to serve. Yongkai nodded, I will leave this matter to you. Palace Master, I have a candidate. Nanman Daijin suddenly interjected. If it's that person, a mere mountain wave map is nothing at all. Oh, do you know a refiner? Yongkai looked at him unexpectedly. If that's the case, then please invite him over. If this happens, Lingxiao Palace will definitely not treat him badly. The army of the South Gate laughed dryly, and said a little embarrassedly, this man is capable, and his crafting skills are also very good, but he is a little troublesome. If I go alone, I'm afraid I may not be able to invite you. Such a big air. Yongkai was amazed, you are also a formation master, who else would dare not sell your face? Nanman Daijin scratched his face and said, actually, I'm very approachable. Watching C looked over with a look of contempt, and the time she spent with each other was not short. She somewhat understood the nature of the South Gate army, and it was also because the Lingxiao Palace showed good financial resources and strength, and Yongkai talked about it. Only by destroying the precedent of the Wenqing sect with a smile can the South Gate army, the formation master, be able to hold down, otherwise, if you are someone else or another sect, the South Gate army will teach you what it means to have your nose up to the sky and look at no one in your eyes. But whoever is a skillful craftsman, alchemist, or formation master is not a proud generation. Only the palace lord, the emperor alchemist, does not show mountains or waters on weekdays. It is an outlier. Then let the chief executive accompany you for a walk. Yongkai waved. Okay. Watching C nodded. The army of the South Gate said awkwardly, I think that this matter must be done by you personally, the palace mistress. Yongkai laughed. The master of this palace has a lot of things to do every day, and he is busy with official duties, how can he have time to run around? Watching C also looked angry. I am also the chief steward of the Lingxiao Palace, who dares to underestimate it? Could it be that the man is an imperial weapon master? The Nanman army looked serious and nodded slightly. Yongkai's expression was shocked, and he said in surprise, Emperor Tool Master. That's right, so Palace Master, you'd better go there in person. Only in this way can you show your sincerity. Yongkai rubbed his chin, his eyes rolled. In this way, it is indeed worth a trip, but the army. In your opinion, can this Emperor Weapon Master be used by my Lingxiao Palace? The expression of Nanman Daijin suddenly became strange. The Palace Master means to recruit this guy into the sect. Yeah, Yongkai nodded of course, from what you said, this Emperor Weapon Master should be a person with no background and no sect. My Lingxiao Palace is currently short of talents in this field, and it is rare to meet one. How could I miss it? The Nanman army suddenly became a little embarrassed, and hesitated for a long time before saying, Master, if it is a short-term cooperation, if this guy cooperates with me to arrange the mountain map and then chase him away, that person is indeed a very good person. Choice, but if the palace lord wants to keep people in the Lingxiao Palace, I don't recommend doing so. Yongkai laughed and said, it is said that colleagues are enemies, you are a formation master, that person is a craftsman, you are proficient in different fields. There should be no conflicts, right? It's not this question, it's just, hey, Palace Master, if you see what that person looks like, you'll know what I mean. Regarding this Imperial Weapon Master, the Nanman army seemed to be quite afraid, and did not explain clearly. Yongkai asked a lot, let Yongkai see as believing, lest his words make Yongkai have preconceived ideas. But since there is an Emperor Weapon Master who is like a wild crane, Yongkai can only go with the South Gate army. Fortunately, there is nothing urgent to do recently. By the way, is there no news from Zhu Qing? Before leaving, Yongkai suddenly turned around and asked Watching C. Watching C shook her head and said, is the palace master worried about her? If so, I'll ask the Demon King to look for her. No need. Yongkai waved his hand, threw out a jade slip, and said without looking back, this is the Xingshan Palace's decision on your disposal, you can take a look. Watching C trembled all over, reached out to take it, divine sense invaded it, after some investigation, soon, the nervous look disappeared, replaced by a smile all over his face. The decision on how to deal with her in the jade slip is very simple. Watching C is still a disciple of the Star God Palace, but the Star God Palace will not hinder her freedom. It doesn't matter. Although it was just a simple jade slip and not an official document of Xingshan Palace, the jade slip contained the imprint of Princess Lan Xuan's soul. With this jade slip in hand, even if Hua Qingxi is still a disciple of the Star God Palace, it is equivalent to leaving the Star God Palace, and she doesn't have to worry about it in the future. This is also the result of the discussion between Yang Kai and Lan Xuan a few days ago. Although Lan Xuan is the daughter of Emperor Mingyu, one person is below 10,000 in the Star God Palace, and her status is more honorable than those elders, but Hua Qingxi is now a strong emperor. Even Lan Xuan also did not have the right to expel her at will. She gave Yang Kai face very much. Since she could not expel Hua Qingxi from the Star God Palace, she no longer restricted her freedom. Outside the mountain gate of Lingxiao Palace, the army of the South Gate casually threw an object, which suddenly became larger in midair and turned into a small boat, and said with a smile, "Palace Master, please." Yang Kai glanced at the flying boat, raised his eyebrows and said, "It's not bad. This is obviously a flying secret treasure, and it is also an existence of Emperor treasure level, which can be described as good. Emperor treasure level flying secret treasures may not be many in the entire star world. The value is at least tens of millions of high-grade source crystals. The South Gate army can have one, which shows that they have strong financial resources." Nanman Daijin laughed dryly. "I won a bet with others, I can't afford this thing. There are such good things." Yang Kai clicked his tongue in amazement, and stepped up towards the flying boat. This flying boat doesn't look that big to the naked eye, it's only about 1 foot long, and it can only accommodate 3 or 5 people standing side by side on it. But when Yang Kai raised his footsteps, the South Gate army suddenly made a decision. Immediately above the flying boat, a vortex-like corridor appeared. Yang Kai stepped into the vortex, his field of vision suddenly changed, and he was stunned in place. As far as the eye can see, it is not a simple flying boat. The internal space is extremely huge. There is a hall in the front, which can accommodate at least dozens of people without being too crowded. The spiritual sense swept through it, and there are a few extremely luxurious decorations inside. The wing room. There's even a flight of stairs to the side, winding upwards. There are actually 2 layers of space inside this airship. It looks like a huge building ship. The figure of the South Gate army appeared beside Yang Kai. Yang Kai turned his head and glanced at him. "You actually won this treasure from a bet." Before Yang Kai thought it was just a simple flying boat secret treasure. He estimated tens of millions of high-grade source crystals in his heart, but now it seems that the value of this thing is at least hundreds of millions, and it may be more than that. "It's a fluke." Nanman Daijin laughed dryly, with an unnatural expression on his face. He obviously didn't want to continue discussing this topic. He stretched out his hand and said, "Master, you can find a place to rest at will. The place is neither far nor near. It's about 3 the day will come." "Well, thank you for your hard work." Yang Kai nodded, walked up the stairs to the 2nd floor, found a room at random, pushed the door in, swept his eyes, and found that the decoration of the room was luxurious yet exquisite. A monkey head sculpture stands on one side, with a pergola in hand, looking into the distance. It is lifelike. Yang Kai frowned slightly, and suddenly felt that the monkey head looked familiar. At this moment, the flying boat hummed and sped up rapidly. The speed changed from slow to fast. In the blink of an eye, it was no less than the speed of a strong 3-layer mirror of Emperor Zun's full speed. This made Yang Kai sigh more and more. He flew onto the bed, sat cross-legged, closed his eyes and adjusted his breath. The passage along the road was extremely smooth, without even feeling the slightest vibration, and there were no ignorant people who dared to block the road and rob. But then again, the speed of this flying boat is so fast, I am afraid that only the strong 3-layer mirror of Emperor Zun can stop it once or twice. Such 3 days passed in a flash. The speed of the flying boat suddenly slowed down a lot, and then it buzzed and stopped. Yang Kai opened his eyes, and there was a knock on the door. Yang Kai got up and opened the door, and saw the South Gate army standing outside the door, and said, "We are almost here, the palace master, the road behind needs to fly over. Is there any restriction to stop the flying boat?" Yang Kai asked. "That's not true." Nanman Daijin sneered and explained. "It's just that this flying boat cannot be seen by that guy, otherwise there will be some trouble." He didn't speak clearly, and Yang Kai didn't ask any more questions, and got off the boat with the South Gate army. Immediately there was the sound of undulating waves in the ears, and the sea breeze with a little fishy smell, which made people feel refreshed and happy. Looking up, the sky was as clear as blue and cloudless. Speeding all the way, he came to the sea. That person lives on the island? Yang Kai asked unexpectedly. Exactly. The Nanman army nodded, leading the way ahead. Go this way. The two flew away immediately. Although the South Gate army had the cultivation base of the emperor, they were not good at fighting, and the Emperor Yuan was not very pure, so the speed was not very fast. Yang Kai followed behind him unhurriedly. Looking down, the sea stretches as far as the eye can see. Occasionally some sea beasts show their majesty, which is interesting. An hour later, he suddenly heard the sound of seabirds, and Yang Kai immediately understood that he should be almost there. On this vast sea, there are also islands near these common birds. To be continued. This book comes from A&A-C1/2. Chapter 2782. Sure enough, after a while, a moderately large island came into view. Such an island with green mountains and green waters suddenly appeared in the endless sea, which can be described as a kind of visual enjoyment. The area of the island is not too big, about tens of acres. On the beach, there are waves and birds stop. Yang Kai and the South Gate army fell down in the air. Yang Kai suddenly frowned, looked at the South Gate army strangely and said, "Isn't that Grand Master a man of no family? Why are there so many people on this island?" When he swept across with his divine sense just now, he clearly found signs of activities on the island. At least there were more than 20 people, and there were even 5 or 6 emperors in it. If there were not so many emperor senior stages, Yang Kai would have thought that this place was the station of some small sect. It's just that no small sect can have so many emperor senior realm. Hearing Yang Kai's question, when the South Gate army was about to explain, a stream of light suddenly rushed over from the front, apparently aware of the aura of Yang Kai and the South Gate army, and came to investigate. "Palace Master, don't talk later, I'll deal with it." Nanman Daijin hurriedly transmitted a voice, as if he was afraid of something. Yang Kai frowned, always felt that this trip was a bit weird. The stream of light dissipated, revealing the figure of a middle-aged man, impressively exuding the cultivation base of a second-level emperor. The visitor glanced at Yang Kai and the two, and asked casually, "Who are you?" He didn't pay too much attention to the 2 first-level emperors, so he was not too vigilant. When he asked, there was a hint of arrogance on his face. Nanman Daijin immediately gritted his teeth and replied, "A debtor." In debt. Yang Kai turned his head and glanced at the South Gate army, and found that he had a serious face and a resentful expression, as if he was a creditor coming to the door. Okay. Yang Kai was full of doubts, but it was hard to ask clearly. However, after hearing this, the middle-aged man on the opposite side nodded slightly. "It turns out that he is a fellow. How much does that guy owe you?" The Nanman army didn't even think about it. 5 million high-grade source crystals. How about you? The middle-aged man snorted coldly. 20 million. If I find it, I will definitely cramp and skin this bastard. It's simply too hateful. Nanman Daijin nodded in agreement. Isn't it too cheap to cramp and skin? If it falls into my hands, that guy will definitely experience the torture of the world. Hee. The middle-aged man smiled slightly, nodded and said, "Very good." Nanman Daijin asked, "Are all the people here to ask for debts?" "That's right." The middle-aged man nodded and said, "We have also reached an agreement. If we can find that bastard, we will pester that bastard as soon as possible, and then warn the police. The rest of the people will rush over immediately, and that guy will be unable to fly. Since you two am also here to ask for debts, so let us count it as your share. But I want to remind you, there seems to be a very clever formation on this island, so don't let go of any suspicious things, eh?" "Thank you very much." Nanman Daijin clasped his fists together. "It's okay, they are all victims, and they should help each other." The middle-aged man responded politely, and then told the South Gate army a few words, then turned around and flew away. The South Gate army watched this person leave, then winked at Yang Kai, and quietly moved towards the other side of the island. "What's the matter with that master craftsman?" Yang Kai asked via sound transmission. "So many people come to ask for debts, how much money do they have to owe?" "Who knows?" Nanman Daijin had an expression of hating iron but not steel. Yang Kai clicked his tongue and said, "Seeing that you are so skillful in dealing with it, it seems that you have expected this scene a long time ago." Nanman Daijin said with a bitter face, "This is the hateful thing about that guy, this is not the first time this kind of thing has happened." Yang Kai wondered, isn't he a master craftsman? Just refining a few emperor treasures will be enough to pay off the debt, right? The Nanman army sighed. No matter how many emperor treasures you refine, you can't resist a word of gambling. This master actually gambled. Yang Kai was shocked. More than that, it's just a gambling habit, that's all, but every time you gamble, you will lose. Nanman Daijin looked disgusted, that's why I said this guy is a bit troublesome. Yang Kai was startled suddenly, and said, the flying boat emperor treasure, you won't bet from this master, right? Nanman Daijin blushed and said, I was forced to, it was not my wish. In a few words, Yang Kai had a deep understanding of this emperor weapon master who had never met before. Tisk tisk, this person is quite weird enough to gamble with someone with a flying emperor treasure worth hundreds of millions, and he even lost the bet. No wonder being blocked by so many creditors at the door of the house, even though he is an imperial weapon master, his life is too miserable. While talking, the two came to a mountain wall. The South Gate army sneakily released their spiritual thoughts to investigate, and after making sure that no one was paying attention nearby, they suddenly took out a token and waved it with their hands. A layer of ripples immediately appeared on a wall stone of the mountain wall, revealing a passage for one person to enter and exit. The South Gate army hurried in and greeted Yang Kai at the same time. After Yang Kai entered, he closed the entrance. Seemingly seeing Yang Kai's suspicion, the South Gate army took the initiative to explain, I helped her arrange the formation here, without this phantom formation, she would have no place to hide. You guys have a good relationship. Yang Kai chuckled. Palace Master, don't compare me with her. Nanman Daijin said with a look of contempt, if others know that I know her, I'm afraid it will be a catastrophe. It's not that serious, is it? Yang Kai's face was filled with black lines. Nanman Daijin said bitterly, Master, you have never learned her shamelessness. Back then, I paid off a lot of debts for her. Those creditors came to the door one by one. I still remember it vividly. As he spoke, he shivered. Yang Kai didn't know what to say. It seemed that this Emperor Weapon Master had left a lot of psychological shadows on the South Gate army. Going deep all the way, after walking for a few sticks of incense, the front suddenly became clear. A huge cave appeared in the field of vision. There was nothing in the cave, but there were many side roads in all directions. Know where it leads. Palace Master, please wait for a moment. After Nanman Daijin said, he turned his head and looked at those forks. After a while, his eyes locked on one of the forks, and he coughed lightly, Xiaohu, come out. No one responded, only the voice of the South Gate army echoed in the cave. Get out yet, do you think I can't see you? Nanman Daijin's face darkened, and he began to drink. Don't come here, if you dare to come here, I'll show you to death. Suddenly, a woman's voice came over, but the voice seemed extremely weak, as if she had been severely injured, and the words were full of self-defeating. Woman. Yang Kai was stunned. When I heard Nanman Daijin introduce this Emperor Artifact Master, he looked disgusted, and his words were even more bastard than this guy. Yang Kai thought he was a man, but he didn't want to be a woman. This surprised him. He changed his mind and was relieved. He had never met a female craftsman, and Yang Yan was a top craftsman and formation master. Nanman Daijin's face darkened, and he said angrily, Idiot, you can't even hear my voice. The woman hidden in the fork was silent for a moment, but Yang Kai clearly felt a pair of eyes watching the place, and after a while, a figure rushed towards him wrapped in a breeze and stood not far away. Daijin, it's you, the woman exclaimed in surprise. Yang Kai fixed his eyes and found that although this woman's appearance is not alluring, she is also very good. She is wearing a floral dress, which is playful and cute, but her figure is plump and mature, but for some reason, he looked a little depressed. The old friend was reunited after a long absence. The woman was very happy. After a pause, she rushed towards the army at the South Gate. What are you doing? The army of the South Gate obviously had been prepared for a long time, and stretched out a hand to press her on the head, and the Emperor Yuan surged all over her body, firmly fixing her in place. With a flattering smile on her face, the woman said coquettishly, Da Jun. Yang Kai had goosebumps all over his body, and his whole body suddenly felt bad. How dare you be presumptuous? Nanman Daijin yelled angrily, and with a movement of the god Yuan in his palm, he wanted to push her away. However, the woman took a few steps forward under the pressure, and broke into the arms of the South Gate army with a twist, turned around and flew lightly onto a smooth stone not far away, giggling. My ring. Nanman Daijin's face was dark. He touched his empty middle finger, raised his eyes, and saw that the ring had been pinched by the woman, and he flaunted it at Nanman Daijin as if showing off. Yang Kai's eyes flashed, revealing a look of surprise. The accident just now happened too quickly. Although he didn't look too carefully, he still vaguely caught a trace. This Imperial Weapon Master is really fast. Even though the South Gate army was prepared, she took away the space ring in an instant. Is this still a weapon refiner? Give it back to me. Nanman Daijin stretched out his hand to the woman with a cold face. The woman pouted her rosy lips, and wiped off the imprint of spirit on the ring of Nanman Daijin casually. After some searching, she laughed, took out a few jugs of fine wine from the ring, and said joyfully, I know you are the best for me, eh? While speaking, the whole person reclined, tore off the seal, and poured the wine into his mouth. It was the space ring that she bounced back without a sound. The Nanman army took it with a sullen face, without saying a word. In the cave, only the sound of gudong gudong came out. Yongkai rubbed his forehead and suddenly felt a headache. He didn't have much emotion when he learned that this Emperor Artifact Master was addicted to gambling before, but now seeing her acting like a senior alcoholic, Yongkai even wanted to leave. Hateful. Another woman drinking. What Gao Shueding did after drinking a few days ago cast an indelible psychological shadow on Yongkai's mind. Now that she has seen the drinking woman, she can't help but think of the tragic experience of that day. There was a drum in my heart. Chapter 2783 Sister Let You Die Understand. After drinking several jars of fine wine, the woman burped loudly, with a comfortable expression on her face, wiped the liquid from the corner of her mouth, stood up and let out a long breath, finally alive. A. E shao a sahida a. *1 The sluggishness on his face was swept away, and his face became red. There were still 2 pots left, but she didn't drink them, but cherished them and put them in her space ring, raised her head and said, Da Jun, are you here to save me? Nanman Daijin smiled coldly. What do you think? Then when will our marriage be held? The woman asked. Roll. The woman curled her lips, she didn't know what she was muttering in her mouth, she seemed to be swearing at someone, and in a blink of an eye, she looked at Yongkai again, and asked the South Gate army with a smile, who is this little brother? He has a good figure. Oh, do you have any money? Any wine? Stop being presumptuous. Nanman Daijin snorted coldly, here is my palace master of Lingxiao Palace, you foolish woman, why don't you come and see me soon? Lingxiao Palace. The woman tilted her head and thought for a while, then smiled, I've never heard of it, where did it come from? The army of the South Gate said in a deep voice, it doesn't matter whether you have heard of it or not, the important thing is that I am now the chief formation master of Lingxiao Palace. The expression of the woman's hippie smile instantly froze on her face, she looked at the South Gate army with a look of astonishment, then looked at Yongkai, then stepped forward and reached out to touch the head of the South Gate army. What are you doing? The Nanman army took a step back vigilantly. Are you sick? The woman asked curiously. You are the only one who is sick. Nanman Daijin angrily said, your whole family is sick. The woman giggled, turned her delicate body, and landed on the glorious stone, condescendingly said, since you are not sick, why did you join the sect? I remember that you used to sneer at those sects big and small. Since I joined Lingxiao Palace, I naturally have my reasons. The army of the South Gate said after a while. The woman's expression suddenly turned serious. She has known Nanman Daijin for many years. They have known each other since they were both weak and weak. They have cooperated and practiced many times, and they have grown step by step to today. It can be said that they know each other well. She is very clear about the attitude of the Nanman army towards those sects, wooing. If the Nanman army intends to join any sect, the entire Star World's big and small sects can almost be said to be his choice, even the Emperor's sect is no exception. But actually, the last time she saw the Nanman army, the other party was still a loner, and now she suddenly heard that this guy actually joined a sect called Lingxiao Palace. The woman is extremely surprised. The Lord of Lingxiao Palace. The cultivation level of Emperor Zun is only at the first level. How powerful is the sect that can be created, and how can it attract people like Nanman Daijin to join it? The woman tilted her head and carefully examined Yongkai, as if to see a flower from him. Yongkai looked back at her with a smile. Deep in his heart, he was full of worries, thinking that he should just go back. Such an unreliable Emperor Artifact Master, even if he really recruited into Lingxiao Palace, it might not be a big deal good thing. After a long time, the woman clenched her fist and hammered it on her palm. With a face of sudden realization, she looked at Daijin of the Nanman in surprise. Daijin, I have known you for so many years, and I just found out today that you don't like women. No wonder you always don't want to marry me. You. The army of the South Gate was suddenly filled with smoke. He pointed at the woman and said tremblingly, "Stupid woman." Turning to look at Yang Kai with a livid face, he hurriedly said, "Palace Master, this woman is just crazy, ignore her." "Who are you scolding?" The woman stared. Yang Kai took a step forward and said indifferently, "I heard from Da Jun that your honorable master is a top-notch emperor artifact master, and I have come here with great sincerity and expectations, but now it seems, tisk tisk." Quote. "What do you mean by tisk tisk?" The woman was suddenly unhappy, and rushed to Yang Kai, her almond eyes widened. Reaching out and grabbing Yang Kai's collar, he said angrily, "Please explain clearly to me, otherwise you will be more attractive." "Let go." The Nanman army was taken aback and shouted hastily. "He is not worried about Yang Kai. I'm afraid that under Yang Kai's anger, the woman must have nothing good to eat. She is also at the Emperor senior level, even if the woman's strength is not bad, she is definitely not Yang Kai's opponent." Yang Kai raised his hand to stop him, and looked at the woman with disdain. He sneered and said, "Since you are a master, you should look like a master. I don't think there is a trace of a master's demeanor in my whole body, but like a woman in the market. To be honest, I am very disappointed." The woman let go of the collar she was holding, and said with a sneer, "Joke, in your opinion, the so-called master must be dignified and dignified. I am born with this kind of virtue." Yang Kai chuckled and said, "So, do you think you are a master?" The woman snorted coldly and said, "I dare not say that, together with refining weapons, there is no one in the world who has ever surpassed me. The tone is so loud, be careful to flash your tongue." The woman sneered, her confidence was beyond words. Anyone can talk about things, but they don't know how to actually do it. "Do you want to do something?" The woman stared at Yang Kai, seeing his provocative look, she said angrily, "Okay, I'll make you understand." Stretching out his hand, he said to the army at the south gate, "Bring some materials." The south gate army glanced at Yang Kai inquiringly. At this moment he also understood what Yang Kai's plan was. Obviously he wanted to see the woman's art of refining weapons, that's why his words were so vicious. It's not that the woman can't see Yang Kai's intentions, but she is just being questioned in the field she is proficient in, so she is naturally angry, knowing that Yang Kai is using words to provoke her, she can only follow the trend. Seeing Yang Kai nodded in agreement, the South Gate army asked, "What materials do you want?" Casual. Only then did the army of the South Gate start searching in the space ring. As the chief array mage of Lingxiao Palace, he has been busy with array formations. The array formation needs to consume a lot of materials, so the materials in his ring are a lot of. He found a piece of ore the size of a human head and threw it to the woman. Yang Kai glanced at it and recognized that it was a piece of Chibane corundum, known for its toughness. If you can mix it with 1 or 2 when refining secret treasures, it can improve the toughness of secret treasures, but it is also because of this, so Chibane gang it can only be used as an added material, not as the main body of refining. But now the Nanman army has selected such a piece of mineral, and there is no other material, obviously it is also intentional to let the woman show her hand. Keep your eyes open to see clearly, little brother, don't blink. The woman took the Chiyu Gangshi, smiled coldly at Yang Kai, her 5 fingers danced nimbly, and the head-sized Chiyu Gangshi dripped on her hand instantly. Yo spin. The woman was not in a hurry to refine, but took out a jug of fine wine and drank a big gulp. After putting away the jug, the woman opened her mouth, and a gulp of fine wine turned into wine mist and sprayed out. Whoo! A sound. A burst of fire burst out, and the temperature in the cave increased linearly, and the fire was not a normal color, but showed a faint white color, which should be a kind of strange fire from heaven and earth. This made Yang Kai's eyes brighten. Whether it is an alchemist or an alchemist, the requirements for flames are extremely high. Having an excellent flame can often improve the efficiency and quality of alchemy and alchemy. As soon as the woman made a move, Yang Kai could see that she must have real skills. Not to mention that she didn't even take out the refining furnace, it was obvious that she wanted to refine it in the air. This kind of refining has extremely high requirements on the refiner, and it is impossible for ordinary people to do it. And what surprised Yang Kai even more was that the woman's control over the flame was obviously to the point of perfection, and the flame of the spirit wine spewed out, directly wrapping the red feather emery, no more, no less, no trace of it. Nothing is wasted. In the high temperature, the Akabane emery the size of a human head melted quickly. The woman held it in a jade hand, and dexterously rotated her 5 fingers. Every drop of impurities was removed, and the Akafeather emery became smaller and smaller. Just like condensing medicinal liquid when refining alchemy, impurities must be removed first when refining tools. This link is the most basic link, and it is also the link that most tests the skills of alchemists and tool refiners. It will directly affect the final quality of the finished product. Yang Kai released his spiritual thoughts slightly, and carefully checked the situation of the Qiu Gangxi. The result was astonishing. It took about a stick of incense for the woman to remove all impurities from the red feather corundum, leaving nothing behind. In this link, she has achieved perfection. This move alone is worthy of the name of a master. Yang Kai showed approval. Because of the woman's various actions before, the prejudice against her has been slightly reduced. As long as she has real skills, some lifestyle problems are not unbearable. After a stick of incense, the head-sized red feather corundum has turned into a ball of pure mineral liquid only the size of a fist. The woman raised her head, looked at Yang Kai proudly and said, "Little brother, it's still too late to beg for mercy. As long as you can send a few million source crystals, sister will be merciful and forgive you for your previous rudeness." "Hey," Yang Kai sneered, "I don't shed tears when I see the coffin. I hate such a stubborn man like you the most." The woman gritted her silver teeth, distractedly talking to Yang Kai, while her hand didn't stop, her little hand holding the mineral liquid moving. One after another magic spells were shot out, seared into the inside of the ore liquid, and at the same time the white flame also rose and fell, obviously controlling the temperature of the fire. Visible to the naked eye, the ore liquid was slowly elongated, gradually taking the shape of a sword. But with the passage of time and the woman's movements, the appearance of the long sword became more and more clear, with a sharp cold light shining on the edge, and complex lines emerged on the hilt. This refinement seemed a bit boring, and there was no particularly thrilling scene, but both Yang Kai and the South Gate army watched intently. About an hour later, the woman suddenly grabbed the wine jar and took another sip of the fine wine. While spitting out the wine, the strange fire suddenly stopped, and with the sound of chi-chi, there were bursts of faint light on the long sword. "Receive." The woman threw the long sword into the air with a casual throw, and after it fell straight down, it was stably inserted into the ground, more than a foot into the ground. To be continued. Chapter 2784. The ground of this karst cave is extremely hard, but now the Qiu Gangjian can penetrate a foot into the ground only by the inertia of falling from the air, which shows how sharp the sword is. What's even more commendable is that this sword is made of a piece of red feather corundum as the main body, without adding any other materials. Although its toughness can be expected, it will definitely not be known for its sharpness. This point alone allowed Yang Kai to have a rough assessment of this woman's refining ability. Stretching out his hand to take a shot, the red feather sword fell steadily on the palm of his hand. When Emperor Yang Kai moved it, the sword hummed and shook, and when he shook his hand, the long sword made a wave-like trajectory, soft as if a rope. Gaoyuan level inferior. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. "Ha ha ha ha." The woman stood on the rock, opened her arms and laughed wildly. "I'll surrender to my miraculous and great weapon refining technique." The Nanman army said with a dark face, "Palace Master, why don't we go back now and forget it?" If the Nanman army had proposed this before the woman was refined, Yang Kai might have gone home along the way, but after seeing the woman's refining technique, he had other plans. Although the woman in front of her seemed extremely unreliable, she was capable, and she was not ordinary. "Little brother, are you convinced?" The woman looked at Yang Kai triumphantly, with an expression of coming to worship me. "Not bad." Yang Kai nodded slightly. "Not bad." The woman's expression was grim, and she paused every word. "No. Wrong. Such a miraculous method, but in exchange for only a good evaluation." The woman showed a warm expression, and waved her hands like chasing flies. "Go, go, go, you are not welcome here, let me go as far as you can." From the looks of it, this kid is a guest brought by the South Gate army, and the woman should give him some face, otherwise, how could she deliberately reveal such a skill of refining weapons? But now Yang Kai's unsalty evaluation made her angry, directly opened his mouth to chase people away, and no longer had the slightest interest in talking to him. Then I hate this kind of guy who doesn't know how to appreciate, and doesn't know how to pretend to know. Yang Kai smiled slightly. "It's really good." The woman's expression turned cold, and she said indifferently, "Little brother, be careful what comes out of your mouth. Don't look at me now, I just need a word, and I can make you die without a place to bury you." Nanman Daijin laughed and said, "Xiaohu, you are talking too much, be careful not to stop." The woman snorted and said, "My mother is a master of the imperial weapon. If I really want to kill someone, I am afraid that no one will do it for me." Don't look at the jealousy of those guys outside looking for debts from my mother. If I really discuss with them, everything will change. Become a thug. The Nanman army said indifferently. The palace master is the emperor alchemist. The woman looked at Yongkai in surprise, then turned her head to look at Nanman Daijin, as if she could see traces of lying on his face, but she was extremely disappointed in the end. Nanman Daijin looked serious, with a solemn expression. And based on what she knew about the Southgate army, he would never lie about this kind of thing. Emperor alchemist, so young. The woman was a little frightened, but she still insisted. So what, Emperor artifact master, Emperor alchemy master, everyone is pretty much the same. It's funny to think about it. Inside this nameless island, there are actually an Emperor Weapon Master, an Emperor Alchemy Master and an Emperor Array Master. Such a lineup can be called terrifying. I'm afraid that any sect will shine their eyes when they see him, and try to win him over at all costs. Yongkai Dao. Master Hu, right. It seems that Master Hu is very dissatisfied with this young master's evaluation. The woman snorted. Whatever, I'm not related to you, it's up to you how you evaluate it. My master said it was right, that's because I have seen more powerful refiners. As soon as the words came out, the woman jumped up and cursed. Fart, there is no better refiner in this world than my old lady. In the way of refining weapons, my old lady is number one in the world. Can I beat this kid? Nanman Daijin shook his head and said, how can there be any number one? In any field, no one dares to claim that he is number one in the world. Maybe Emperor Miao Dan can boast so much in the way of alchemy, but women obviously don't have this weight. Master Hu doesn't believe it. Yongkai hooked the corner of his mouth, revealing a subtle smile. The woman snorted. Since you said that, then take me to find that more powerful craftsman. I want to see who is stronger and who is weaker. Yongkai shook his head and said, I don't know where she is now. The woman curled her lips with a disdainful expression, obviously feeling that Yongkai was talking nonsense. However, Yongkai changed the topic. If I can prove that there is someone in this world who is better than you in refining art, so what? Why not marry you? The woman sneered, tugged at her long floral dress, straightened her chest, and said amazingly, I want to have a face, a chest, and a figure. A virgin, don't say you don't like her. Yongkai glanced at the Southgate army, who stretched out his hand to support his forehead, with a helpless expression on his face. Obviously he had already learned about this woman's shamelessness. Okay, Yongkai nodded, took out something from his space ring, threw it to the woman, and said, then please wait for master to take a look at this. The woman took it with her hand, glanced at it, and sneered disdainfully, void-level secret treasure. Where did you get the toy? Well, it's still a warship. Void-level secret treasure, that is the secret treasure that only void-returning realm warriors will use. For her current level, it is indeed a toy, and it has no use at all. Yongkai smiled lightly. The lower and simpler things are, the more they can reflect the refining ability, isn't it? The woman's eyebrows were slightly frowned, and she rarely agreed with Yongkai's point of view. You are right. Just like cooking skills, it is not the rare and precious delicacies that test the skills of those chefs, but the simplest fried potato shreds. The woman's expression froze suddenly, and the contempt in her eyes disappeared, replaced by prudence and amazement. Internal structure. Palace Master, does he really intend to recruit this woman into Lingxiao Palace? Nanman Daijin quietly asked. You have seen her virtues. If she really enters Lingxiao Palace, she might cause some trouble. She acts perversely and does as she pleases, but she has never met anyone who can subdue her. The Palace Master has the confidence to subdue her. No, Yongkai shook his head. If you want to subdue her, you have to defeat her in the field she is proficient in. I don't have the ability. In this regard, the Nanman army has a deep understanding. The reason why he agreed to join the High Heaven Palace was not because of Yongkai's sincerity, nor was it because Yongkai treated him well, but because someone in the High Heaven Palace was interested in his field. This is the main reason why it cannot be cracked. But I don't have this ability, but others do. Yongkai showed a mysterious smile. Is this a virtual class warship? Nanman Daijin frowned, realizing the crux of the problem. Yongkai chuckled and stopped talking. Void grade battleship. For Yongkai, this grade is too low, but it is a battleship made by Yongyan himself, something that Yongkai brought from Gloomy Star. Yongkai had a deep experience of Yongyan's refining ability. If this master who is better than Yongyan in the way of refining, then Yongkai naturally has nothing to say. However, Yongkai felt that this possibility was unlikely. It can be seen from the dignified expression of the woman at the moment. A layman watching the fun, an insider looking at the doorway, a mere virtual class warship. In the eyes of Yongkai and the Nanman army, it is just a low-grade secret treasure, but in the eyes of women, it is an extremely delicate refinement. Time passed slowly, and the cave was silent. The woman's expression became more serious, and a fine layer of sweat oozed from her forehead. This detail shocked and horrified the Nanman army. The reason why the girl behaves like this is obviously because this virtual class battleship has given her a huge impact. Although Nanman Daijin didn't agree with her statement that she claimed to be the world's #1 craftsman, but subconsciously, Nanman Daijin also felt that basically no one in the entire star realm could match her in the way of crafting. But now it seems that in this world, every mountain is really taller than one mountain. Who made this virtual warship, and where did the palace master get it from? There will be such a miraculous effect. Turn it on. The woman suddenly raised her head and gave an order to Yongkai. Her words were not polite. Yongkai didn't care. He pinched the magic weapon in his hand, and the palm-sized battle boat immediately swelled up, and suddenly became 5 feet long, and the whole body was pitch black. Yongkai opened the hatch again, and the woman entered the battle boat in a flash. In the boat. Looking at it like that, it is necessary to observe it carefully from the inside out. Yongkai was not in a hurry, and simply waited outside with the South Gate army. At this time, Yongkai has 80% certainty. Everything depends on whether the woman recognizes it or not. Half an hour later, the woman suddenly came out of the battle boat with a sluggish expression, like a walking corpse, like a girl who had been brutally trampled by dozens of big men. Her steps seemed mechanically stiff. Only those beautiful eyes shone with a strange light, and her lips opened and closed slightly, but she didn't know what she was muttering. Yongkai and the South Gate army looked at each other, and they both tactfully did not disturb her. 1 hour, 2 hours, half a day, 1 night. After 2 full days, the woman suddenly changed. Her eyes became brighter. She jumped up suddenly, clapped her hands and said, "Ha ha ha, I understand, so it is like this." She actually had a little gain. Seeing this, the South Gate army let out a long breath. In the past 2 days, he was very worried. Although after so many years of getting along, the woman often did some annoying things, but after all, she is an old friend for many years. Seeing the woman with a demonic appearance, the Nanman army is really afraid that she will go crazy. But now it seems that he was worrying in vain, which made the Nanman army let go of the stone in his heart, and at the same time he was a little angry. Good people don't live long, and the evil will last for thousands of years. Based on what this woman has done in the past, I am afraid that she will live the same life as the world, and the sun and the moon will shine together. Why do I worry about her? To be continued. Chapter 2785. Are you a monkey master? How? Yongkai looked at the woman with a smile. Oh. The woman stretched out her hand and scratched her head, turned her gaze aside, and said with a dry smile, "This battle boat was made, it's really, not bad, ha ha ha." The Nanman army smiled and said, "Xiaohu, do you still remember what you said earlier?" The woman glared at him fiercely, then put on a stance like a hob knife, looked at Yongkai and said, "Okay, although we have some minor flaws in our character." Small flaw. A vein twitched on Nanman Daijin's forehead. But there are also advantages. Our biggest advantage is that we are willing to bet and admit defeat. The woman looked at Yongkai and said freely, "Since that is the case, when will we get married?" "You don't need to get married." Yongkai raised his hand and refused. "Master, who is a generation of master craftsmen, I have come here mainly to invite you to sit in Lingxiao Palace and take on the position of chief craftsman. Here, please don't blame master. Hey. Hey. The woman covered her mouth and smiled coquettishly, her flowers trembling wildly. Little brother can really talk. Her face suddenly became serious, and she said, "To be clear, you don't need me to fulfill the agreement. It's not me who repudiates. Our reputation cannot be tarnished. The army can testify." Yongkai smiled slightly and added, "The premise is that master who is willing to return to Lingxiao Palace with me." When the woman heard the words, her expression straightened. She turned her head and glanced at the Nanman army, considered it carefully, and said, "If it wasn't for the army, or even if your Lingxiao Palace has many benefits, I wouldn't consider it. But since the army has already joined, let's join in the fun too. I will definitely not let Master Hu down." Yongkai nodded with a smile. "Don't worry." The woman raised her hand and said, "Before that, I have one more condition." Yongkai frowned, nodded and said, "You say." The woman turned around, came to the back of the rock, raised her leg, pressed the hem of the floral skirt to her waist, and stepped on the rock with one foot. Half of her breasts were exposed, but she didn't care. I don't know when a dice cup appeared in my hand, and it shook dazzlingly. There was a crackling sound from inside the dice cup. After a while, I put it on the rock and shouted loudly, "Bet me, the bet is this." "Battleship. Is this your condition?" Yang Kai asked in amazement. "Good." The woman nodded. Yang Kai was speechless. He had heard from the Nanman army that this master who was addicted to gambling and had never had a chance to learn from him, so he did not expect to come out like this before he left. This void-grade battleship refined by Yang Yan should be extremely attractive to her, so she asked Yang Kai to use it as a bet. "Okay, Yang Kai naturally has no problem, but it's just a gamble. If I win, so what?" "What is your bet?" "We have something to compensate you." The woman snorted, and said in a deep voice, "Should I press the big one or the small one?" Yang Kai glanced at the South Gate army, and the latter said, "The palace master can suppress it casually, and don't worry about what she will do here. This guy is very serious about gambling, and he will never play tricks." "Then it's big," Yang Kai said casually. "It doesn't matter if he wins or loses, and it's just a void-grade battleship if he loses." The Nanman army quietly took out a space ring, threw it on the rock, and said, "I'll press it too." The woman sneered at the army at the South Gate, "Be careful that you lose all your blood." "Don't worry, I can beat you with my eyes closed. Come, buy it, let's go." After a while, the woman grabbed the wrist of her right hand with her left hand and shook it vigorously. With eyes that killed her father and enemy, she said in pain, "Chop your hand, why is it so big?" The Nanman army took back the space ring calmly, and said, "After all, Xiaohu, you owe me a total of 50 million source crystals." "Bookkeeping." The woman glared at him angrily, then looked at Yang Kai, and sighed, "Since I lost, I will give you something." While speaking, he reached out to touch his clothes, grabbed something and threw it to Yang Kai. Yang Kai took it unprepared, fixed his eyes and almost spit out the nosebleed. The woman laughed and said, "Our corset is still warm." Yang Kai said with a dark face, "Why do I want this?" The woman said meaningfully, "Who knows?" Yang Kai sighed, and was about to return the exquisite corset to the other party, when suddenly he frowned, reached out and shook the corset away, spread it on the palm of his hand and carefully looked at it. The woman originally planned to watch Yang Kai's jokes, but when she saw him like this, she felt a sudden shock in her heart, and she quietly sent a voice transmission to the Nanman Daijin, "Daijin, our palace master should not be Chu Jie. If you play tricks on him like this, will he be eaten by him? It's up to you." Nanman Daijin smiled contemptuously. "What's wrong with me?" The woman was suddenly unhappy. Over there, Yang Kai saw a clue, looked up at the woman in amazement, and asked in surprise, "Are you Master Monkey?" The woman was stunned for a moment, then blinked and said, "That's right, my surname is Hu, and my single name is Yu." "So you are Master Monkey?" Yang Kai laughed, and pointed to a monkey head logo on the bodice. It was only then that Yu understood what he was talking about, and said with a slight smile, "So you said this." "Yes, we are the master of artifact refining who has never seen the end of the dragon, a Master Monkey." "It turned out to be you." Yang Kai's eyes widened, but then he nodded slightly and said, "I should have thought of it a long time ago." On the flying boat of the South Gate army before, Yang Kai saw a sculpture of a monkey head. At that time, he vaguely felt that he had seen it there, but he was interrupted before he could think about it. Seeing the monkey head mark on the corsage again at this moment, Yang Kai understood it all at once. "A few days ago, when I took Qin Yu to participate in the auction in Fenggalan City, I bought her a Luyun butterfly hairpin. I spent a lot of high-grade source crystals, and there was such a monkey head mark on the Luyun butterfly hairpin. According to Qin Yu at the time, this Master Monkey is a very mysterious master of refining weapons. No one even knows whether he is a man or a woman, but the secret treasures refined by Master Monkey, all of them are high-quality goods, and each one can sell AA at a high price. And the name of Master Monkey is well known in the southern region, but what people can't imagine is that the real face of Master Monkey is actually a woman. And she is a strange woman who likes to drink heavily, is addicted to gambling, and loses every gamble. What a surprise! Originally, Hu Yu's skill in refining weapons was extremely good, and coupled with the title of Master Monkey, Lingxiao Palace has earned it this time. Today's Lingxiao Palace gathers Emperor Alchemy Masters, Emperor Array Masters, and Emperor Artifact Masters. They even dabble in the way of puppets. No one can stop it. Yang Kai was in a good mood, and waved his hand. I will give you this virtual battleship. Anyway, for me, it is just a memory. Really? Hu Yu was overjoyed, smiling all over his face. He saluted Yang Kai Yingying, and said gently, the concubine will thank the palace master for the reward. She suddenly like this, Yang Kai is really not used to it. In a blink of an eye, Hu Yu broke out in his old ways, rushed to the side of the Shu-class battleship, and hugged it with open arms, as if holding a peerless treasure. Yang Kai lifted the imprint of the soul, Hu Yu refined it again, and quickly put it away solemnly. Palace Master, if there is a chance in the future, I hope you can recommend the person who made this warship for me. Hu Yu walked back and said solemnly. There will be a chance. Yang Kai nodded slightly, do you have anything to pack? If not, let's go. Hu Yu sneered, we don't have anything long. Years of gambling has caused her to lose almost all her family property. Although she is an imperial weapon master, she is actually very poor. Then let's go. Yang Kai said, you too, please don't resist. While speaking, he urged the law of space and Emperor Yuan to wrap them up, and disappeared into the cave instantly with a thought. During the change of vision, a group of 3 people had reappeared above the island. The army of the South Gate had been prepared for a long time, so they didn't feel anything yet, but Hu Yu was taken aback, and said in amazement, space teleportation. Arriving here from the cave in an instant, breaking through numerous barriers, Hu Yu didn't feel the traces of Yang Kai using the secret treasure at all, so there is only one explanation that makes sense. Palace Master, are you proficient in the laws of space? Our Palace Lord has great powers, you will be surprised in the future. Nanman Daijin chuckled. Hu Yu's heart trembled, and he secretly rejoiced that he hadn't had a direct confrontation with Yang Kai before, otherwise his strength might really not be enough. At the same level as Emperor Senior, how terrifying would an opponent who was proficient in the laws of space be? Not good. Hu Yu suddenly turned pale again, urging Yang Kai, go, it will be too late if you don't go. Yang Kai naturally knew what she was worried about, and said, in the future, my High Heaven Palace will be famous all over the world, and you, as the chief craftsman of my High Heaven Palace, can't hide it. Instead of letting these people want it is better to pay off the debt now if the debt goes to the Lingxiao Palace and ruins the reputation of my Lingxiao Palace. Palace Master, you, Hu Yu showed a moved expression. But Yang Kai's next sentence shattered her emotion completely. All repayments today will be deducted from your future monthly salary. Smelly woman, you finally came out. You can't fly even with wings today. At the same time as there was an angry shout, a stream of light rushed from a distance, and at the same time, a warning whistle came out, resounding in all directions. A moment later, a figure appeared in the streamer. It was the middle-aged man that Yang Kai and the Nanman army had met when they first went to the island 2 days ago. This man had the aura of a second-order Emperor Senior, extremely powerful, and he was completely invincible. Divine sense locked Hu Yu dead, as if she would never allow her to escape. Leaping forward, he grabbed Hu Yu with a big hand. The astonishing coercion came down like a mountain. Hu Yu couldn't help turning pale, and even the Nanman army froze. Both of them are only at the first level of Emperor Senior, so it is naturally difficult to face this second level of Emperor Senior who is attacking with anger, and it is even difficult to breathe. To be continued. Chapter 2786 Prostitution for 100 Years. Chapter 2786. Faced with the middle-aged man's shocking blow, Yang Kai took a step forward, and the moment he landed, the pressure that put Hu Yu and the Nanman army under such pressure melted away like snowflakes under the scorching sun. Gently pointing forward with a finger, it seems ordinary, but it coincides with the truth of the Tao. The complexion of the middle-aged man who was attacking him changed, and he grabbed it hastily, and the Emperor Yuan surged, and he fought Yang Kai for a blow. But when he heard a soft sound, the middle-aged man's aura instantly shriveled like a deflated ball, and he even involuntarily stepped back several steps before stabilizing his figure. On the other hand, Yang Kai is as motionless as a mountain, his breath is calm, the sea breeze is blowing, his clothes are fluttering, and his black hair is flying. Hu Yu was stunned, staring blankly at Yang Kai's back, almost startled Yang Kai into a heavenly man for a while. Read that right, can Emperor Senior realm be so powerful? I and the army are also at the first level of Emperor Senior, but under the suppression of the attack, it is extremely difficult to breathe, but this palace master of Lingxiao Palace actually retreats the enemy with one finger. Yuewen. The middle-aged man was also taken aback. At that moment just now, what he saw was not a finger, but a shocking sharp blade slashing towards him. The breath of death enveloped his whole body, making him unavoidable and unstoppable. Just when he thought that he would be seriously injured if he didn't die, the other party lightly broke through his defenses, just forcing him back, and didn't really hurt the killer, or even hurt him, just made him his breathing was slightly disturbed. Are you in the same group? The middle-aged man also recognized Yang Kai and Nanman Daijin at this moment. He had seen these two people when they first came to the island 2 days ago. Believe it, but now it seems that the two of them are here to ask for debts. They are clearly the accomplices of that hateful woman. If it's an ordinary Emperor Senior 1 layer, he doesn't need to pay attention to it, but just now he took Yang Kai's finger and saw Yang Kai's ability, and he was really afraid in his heart. If this is really torn off the skin and fights, he may not be the opponent. While thinking about it, the middle-aged man regained his composure, and said in a deep voice, "No matter what, today you woman must either pay back the money or pay with your life." When the words fell, figures rushed from all directions and gathered around the middle-aged man. These people have been staying on the island, looking for creditors for who you to ask for debts. There were more than 20 people, and 5 of them were in the Emperor Senior realm. Except for the middle-aged man who was in the second-tier Emperor Senior realm, the remaining 4 were all in the first-tier Emperor Senior realm. With so many people standing by his side, the fear in the middle-aged man's heart was reduced a bit. I was no match for that young man, but couldn't so many people be no match for him? A tiger does not fight a pack of wolves. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands, and the opponent is no more powerful than 1 person. As soon as these people Yu appeared, they all showed hatred and anger at Hu Yu, as if they had some mortal enmity with her, but they didn't speak casually, obviously following the middle-aged man's lead. My friend, this woman owes me a lot of source crystals. If you insist on protecting her, don't blame me for not being sympathetic. The middle-aged man set his eyes on Yang Kai, extremely vigilant. Everyone is here. Yang Kai smiled slightly, his eyes swept across the audience, and once again fell on the middle-aged man. He said calmly, "It is only natural to pay back the debt. What she owes you, I will pay it for her." "Eh? You paid it back for her?" The middle-aged man was shocked when he heard this. He looked at Yang Kai and said, "Do you know how much she owes?" "As many as there are." Yang Kai said lightly. Hu Yu swallowed his saliva, quietly poked the army of the south gate, and asked, "Is our palace master very rich?" Nanman Daijin glanced at her, and sneered, "Does it have something to do with you? Anyway, the palace master will help you pay off the debt this time, and then deduct it from your monthly salary. I guess you will have to stay in Lingxiao for the rest of your life." Palace. Hearing this, Hu Yu's pretty face changed suddenly, and he grabbed Nanman Daijin's arm tightly and said, "Daijin, you can't abandon me. I joined Lingxiao Palace because of you. If you want to leave in the future, you can't leave alone. If you leave, you must take me with you." The Nanman army continued to sneer and pulled his arm out. On the other side, when they heard Yang Kai's bold words, everyone reacted differently. Some looked happy, and some looked suspicious. After all, the amount of debt owed by the woman is not small, and this young man actually said how much to pay. Does he have the financial resources? That is not a low-grade source crystal or a middle-grade source crystal, but a high-grade source crystal that is counted in tens of millions. It would not be easy for Mi Tianzong and Li Longgong to take on such a debt. "Who is your excellency?" The middle-aged man frowned and looked at Yang Kai. "Can you have such amazing strength and dare to speak so brazenly? You must not be an unknown person." "It's just paying back the money. What are you asking so much for?" Yang Kai smiled slightly. The Nanman army said, "This is the Lord of Lingxiao Palace, Yang Kai, you should not be too unfamiliar." "What? The Lord of Lingxiao Palace? Is that the Lingxiao Palace where the Wenqing sect was destroyed and the doves occupied the magpie's nest? I heard that the owner of Lingxiao Palace is a young man whose cultivation is indeed at the first level of Emperor Zun. From this point of view." Hissa A. Hearing the introduction from the Nanman army, the group of people were extremely surprised. They took a breath and at the same time began to look at Yang Kai again. The middle-aged man's expression darkened, and a little cold sweat oozes from his forehead. It turns out that this is the lord of the Lingxiao Palace that has been rumored in the Northern Territory recently. The Wenqing sect was destroyed, and there was an uproar in the entire Northern Territory. Although the Lingxiao Palace was only established at the beginning, its name is still in full swing. There are hundreds of millions of warriors in the Northern Territory, and those who have a little source of information do not understand these 3 words, will be unfamiliar. It is conceivable that the strength of the Lingxiao Palace can destroy such a deep-rooted behemoth as the Wenqing sect. I heard that there are 3 major demon kings sitting there, and the suzerain of the Wenqing sect, Feng Zan, was wiped out with a flick of his fingers. But now it seems that this Lingxiao palace not only relies on the three big demon kings to make things happen, this seemingly young palace master is not an easy generation. As for myself, I am afraid that few people in the entire star world can do such a skill. Fortunately, the conflict with each other is not deep, otherwise the Northern Territory may not have a place of its own in the future. As soon as he thought of this, the middle-aged man's expression turned serious. He clasped his fists and said, "So it's Palace Master Yang, I'm really rude." Seeing him like this, the rest of the people hurriedly cupped their fists to greet him, not daring to underestimate him in the slightest. Yang Kai waved his hand and said, "Xiaohu is from my Lingxiao Palace, and I have caused trouble for everyone during this time. Well, how much yuan Jingxi owes you? Please give me a price, and the lord of the palace will help her pay it back." Everyone immediately looked at each other in blank dismay. Before knowing Yang Kai's identity, it is understandable to doubt whether he has the ability to repay the money, but now that he is known as the Lord of Lingxiao Palace, whether the debt will be collected or not is a headache for the matter. After all, these arrears are gambling debts, not serious transactions. If Lingxiao Palace is offended because of this matter, I'm afraid the loss outweighs the gain. But if you don't accept it, and you feel unwilling, that's not a small amount. So although Yang Kai sincerely wanted to pay back the money for Hu Yu, unexpectedly no one spoke up. Yang Kai observes his words and looks, so he doesn't know what they are afraid of. With a heartbeat, he looked at the middle-aged man and said, "I remember Xiaohu owes your excellency 2,000 high-grade source crystals, right?" Not bad. The middle-aged man nodded and admitted. This is what he told Yang Kai and the South Gate Army 2 days ago. "Then please order a little, the number is right." Yang Kai threw out a space ring. The middle-aged man stretched out his hand to take it, and with a sweep of his divine sense, he knew that the number was correct. Now that the matter has come to an end, he can only say, it is indeed 20 million. With this beginning, the rest of the people didn't hesitate anymore, and reported the number of source crystals that Hu Yu owed to himself or the forces behind him one by one. At least 1 or 2 million high-grade source crystals, and as many as tens of millions. More than 20 people spent a total of 70 million high-grade source crystals on Yang Kai to pay off. After getting the debt, everyone was also happy. Among them, the first ones who came here have been blowing the sea breeze for a year, and they have never been able to find Hu Yu, let alone get back the debt, but now this happiness suddenly fell from the sky, which made them a little happy, can't help it. Getting back the arrears means that they don't have to suffer here. The money has been paid back to you. Yang Kai put his hands behind his back and looked at everyone indifferently. "My palace master has a small favor now, I hope you can help me a little bit." The leading middle-aged man looked solemn, cupped his fists and said, "Gongzu Yang is a noble character, I admire you, if you have any orders, just ask." The rest also echoed in unison. Yang Kai smiled and said, "After you go back, please spread a message for me. If there is any sect or anyone who gambles with Xiaohu in the future, Lingxiao Palace will not forgive you lightly." Everyone was startled, and Hu Yu exaggeratedly shouted, "Palace Master, just kill me. If this news spreads, how can she gamble with others in the future?" Immediately, he regretted joining this bullshit Lingxiao Palace, and now even his greatest pleasure has been ruthlessly deprived. Hu Yu suddenly felt that he had no love in his life. "It's disgusting." The middle-aged man breathed a sigh of relief, and said with a smile, "This matter is easy to handle, Palace Master Yang, but please rest assured, I didn't know this. Madam is from Lingxiao Palace, if I had known. Quote, there is no need to mention the past." Yang Kai waved his hand. There was no intention of continuing to chat with these people, so he turned around and said to Hu Yu and Nanman Daijin, "Let's go." The South Gate Army immediately threw out the Emperor Treasure flying boat, and the three of them entered one by one, and soon turned into a stream of light and flew towards the direction of Lingxiao Palace. "Want to gamble?" Inside the flying boat, Yang Kai looked at Hu Yu, who was like an eggplant beaten by frost, and asked. Hu Yu looked up, his head pointing like a chicken pecking rice. "Let's pay off the 70 million high-grade source crystals." Yang Kai grinned, "It won't take long, 100 years will be almost the same." Hu Yu rolled his eyes and fainted instantly. To read. Chapter 2787 Changes in Dantian. 3 days later, the group of 3 returned to Lingxiao Palace. During this period, Hu Yu tried to escape many times, but was caught by Yang Kai, which made her lose her temper at all. "I don't believe you can look at me for 100 years. If you don't pay attention, there will be plenty of opportunities to escape." Hu Yu sneered in his heart. It's a pity that this wishful thinking was ruthlessly shattered after returning to Lingxiao Palace for a stick of incense. Demon King, or the three. Hu Yu looked at the three terrifying existences in front of him who were full of monster aura and exuded shocking power, with a look of horror on his face. She didn't know that Lingxiao Palace actually had such a background. After all, Yang Kai is only at the first level of Emperor Senior. How many strong people can there be in the High Heaven Palace that he created? And she didn't have the opportunity to inquire about the situation of the High Heaven Palace along the way, and now she was shocked when she came here. The three demon kings sit in command, and this background is not ordinary, and any top sect in the Northern Territory cannot match it. This is the new chief refiner I recruited from Lingxiao Palace. Yang Kai introduced Hu Yu to the three demon kings. Just call her Xiaohu. Well, Xiaohu is more lively and active, but this young master hopes that she can be more stable in Lingxiao Palace, so. Ying Fei immediately said, Young Master Yang, don't worry, the three of us will take turns to watch her, and we will definitely not let her cause any trouble. Zilei and Xie Wu also expressed their opinions one after another. Hu Yu's face turned extremely pale all of a sudden. He couldn't help taking a few steps back, and said in a voiceless voice, how can this be done? After being followed by the three demon kings in turn, do you want to live in the future? If this is the case, don't even talk about running away. I'm afraid I don't even have the slightest personal freedom. It's so good. Yang Kai nodded lightly, and said to Ying Fei, take her to find the chief manager, register her name, and then arrange a place to live. Yes, Ying Fei responded, stretched out his hand and said to Hu Yu, Miss Hu, please. I don't want it. Hu Yu gritted his teeth, turned around and ran away. Ying Fei glanced at Yang Kai, who nodded slightly. Ying Fei immediately sneered, turned into a stream of light and chased after him, caught Hu Yu in the blink of an eye, lifted her in his hands like a chicken, and flew towards the distance without haste. Zilei and Xie Wu looked at each other, and also rushed over slowly. In the distance, Hu Yu's voice of cursing and shouting could be heard, but eventually it became inaudible. Yang Kai took out the communication compass and left a message for watching C, then looked at the South Gate army and said, the matter of Shanbotu should be implemented as soon as possible. Palace Master, don't worry, with Xiaohu's assistance, Shanbotu is not a problem. In addition, tell the chief manager to ask Xiaohu to refine a flying secret treasure for me after finishing the mountain wave map. The bigger the better, there is no need to worry about the cost. Yes, the matter of the chief artifact refiner has also been settled, and Yang Kai is in a good mood. After a while, return to the Qingyang Temple through the space magic circle. On Lingjian Peak, Yang Kai had just stood firm when he suddenly changed his expression and looked aside, only to see a spooky, pitch-black little beast looking curiously at the valley over there, with its eyes rolling around. It seems to be looking for something. However, because the place where the space magic circle was located was concealed by Yang Kai with the power of the spirit sword peak's ground veins, in the eyes of the little beast, there was nothing special about this place. Yang Kai smiled softly, and recognized that this little beast was the one he met in the wine jar before. It looked weird, it looked a bit like a puppy, it should be the local monster of Lingjian Peak. It's just that the strength is not strong. Anyway, Yang Kai didn't feel any power fluctuations from it. Lifting his feet and stepping forward, the little beast was obviously taken aback when his figure suddenly appeared, and crawled back a few times vigilantly, his round eyes staring at Yang Kai, flashing a trace of human vigilance. But after recognizing Yang Kai, that sliver of vigilance quickly disappeared, and instead stuck out his tongue, wheezing constantly, as if he was coquettishly flattering him. Yang Kai looked interesting, reached out and grabbed it, touched its head and laughed, lost. This is not a place where you can come here casually. Although the level of birds and beasts on Lingjian Peak is not too high, many of them are not immune to this little beast, especially in this valley. There are still many powerful monsters. I am afraid that one bite will be swallowed. In fact, Yang Kai is also quite curious, how such a small black dog-like beast survived in Lingjian Peak. Touched by Yang Kai's hand, the little black dog obviously showed a happy expression, his eyes narrowed, and he quietly crawled on Yang Kai's hand, without moving. Shaking his head lightly, the person appeared outside the spirit sword hall while his figure was shaking. He bent down and put the little black dog down, but unexpectedly, this guy hugged Yang Kai tightly, as if he didn't want to let go. Yang Kai was immediately happy. He raised his finger and flicked it on the forehead. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. the little black dog who had been calm and obedient opened his mouth without any warning, biting on Yang Kai's finger. One person, one beast, staring at each other, Yang Kai was stunned for a moment, never expecting such a thing to happen. Immediately afterwards, Yang Kai frowned, because a trace of pain was transmitted from his fingers, and at the same time, a trace of violent power in his dantian shook violently. His expression changed, but before he could turn his thoughts around, the little black dog ran away with its tail between its legs, without looking back, whimpering continuously, as if it had been greatly frightened. Yang Kai raised his palm and inspected it in front of his eyes, showing an expression of disbelief. Under the little black dog's bite, his finger was actually bitten, several clear teeth marks, almost deep into the bone, and golden blood flowed out quickly. Was bitten? How is this possible? Yang Kai's physical fitness is so strong that even in the Emperor's senior realm, he can be called the top. Except for some monsters with extraordinary talents, Yang Kai is really not afraid of anyone with a physical body, let alone a beast that looks innocent. Even if the humble little beast bites a Emperor's senior realm hard, it is impossible to be bitten through the flesh without using strength. But in fact, the little black dog did just that. It looked like it was just a random bite, not even a lot of effort. How can those small teeth be so sharp? Yang Kai frowned, his expression was strange, and he vaguely felt that the little black dog was a bit unusual. What shocked Yang Kai the most was that after the little black dog bit his finger, the ancient devil energy that had been sealed in his dantian trembled. It must be known that the ancient demonic energy has been sealed by Kang Shu's gold and silver power, and it is extremely stable. For such a long time, Yang Kai has not felt any abnormalities. Today, it was triggered passively, and it was triggered by a little black dog. What's happening here? Carefully inspecting the seal on his dantian, he was sure there were no hidden dangers. The riot just now seemed to be an unexpected incident, but such a coincidence, Yang Kai had to connect it with the little black dog. Sweeping out the divine sense, he soon found the little black dog in a cave not far away. At this moment, it was hiding more than a dozen feet underground, but for some reason, it fell asleep, and it didn't know what to do in its sleep. What fright, body trembling. After biting someone and still showing a very injured look, Yang Kai was speechless, originally wanted to catch it back and check it carefully, but now it can only be done. What's the situation? A cold shout came. Yang Kai raised his eyes and saw Gao Shueding suddenly appeared on Lingjian Peak. A pair of beautiful eyes glanced around, as if looking for something, asked, "What happened here just now?" Yang Kai's heart skipped a beat, and he asked in a daze, "What's wrong?" Gao Shueding said, "I feel a familiar power fluctuation, a very annoying power fluctuation. Is there anything unusual here?" Is there anything unusual? Yang Kai denied it. I was just experimenting with my new supernatural power. I have to admit that Gao Shueding's perception is extremely keen, and the change of the ancient devil energy in the dantian is only a moment, and she has received it once, but she doesn't want to be noticed by her. Back then when Yang Kai was eroded by the demonic energy for the first time, when he was engulfed by demonic energy, he once fought against Gao Shueding, Chen Wenhao from Tianwu Holy Land, and Feng Ming from Wuhua Palace with 1 against 3. Yuanjing, in the face of the 3 emperors, the pressure is not insignificant. In the end, he used the trump card after being enchanted to be able to escape the shell. Yang Kai didn't dare to confess this matter to Gao Shueding until now. If she knew that he was that demon back then, God knows whether Gao Shueding would strike at him with a sword. Is that so? Gao Shueding frowned slightly, evidently her doubts were still there. If it was only Yang Kai who was experimenting with supernatural powers, then she would definitely not feel disgusted, but the power fluctuation at that moment just now made her feel disgusted instinctively. It's just that the power fluctuation lasted too short, and it disappeared before she could feel it clearly, making it impossible for her to recall where she encountered it. Of course, Yang Kai's back was covered with cold sweat, but his face was serious. He changed the subject and said, "Senior Sister Gao, Purple Bamboo Peak is far away from here, why did you come here so soon?" Gao Shueding said, "Just passing by, I just came from the palace master." After a pause, he said again, "But then again, where have you been hiding these past few days? How did I find it when I came the day before yesterday?" "Not you. I was still in the Northern Territory the day before yesterday, so of course you can't find it." Thinking this way in his heart, Yang opened his mouth and replied, "A little retreat." Gao Shueding looked at him suspiciously. Yang Kai's evasive answer made her feel a little suspicious, but since Yang Kai didn't want to say it, she wouldn't break the casserole and ask the end. She just nodded and said, Then you can do it yourself, I'll go first step. Senior sister Gao. Yang Kai raised his hand to call her. What else is there? Gao Shueding paused and asked. Yang Kai Dao. Seeing that senior sister is in a hurry, and her eyebrows are worried, is there something difficult? Maybe my younger brother can help. Gao Shueding said lightly. This matter is related to the secrets of the temple. You, an elder guest, are not qualified to know too much. Well, if you are willing. Senior sister, don't talk about it. Yang Kai hurriedly stopped. Yang Kai, who could become the guest elder of the temple, was forced to do so. How could it be possible to remove the word guest love again? After all, he is also the lord of the first palace. By the way, little brother is planning to go out recently. Go as you like, no one will leave you behind. Gao Shueding's voice came, and the person had disappeared. To be continued. Chapter 2788 Rat Droppings. Phone reading. Brother Yang. Kong Saran walked into the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce's sub-chamber, in the upper room, with a red face, and warmly greeted him with fists clasped. Yang Kai got up and returned a salute. Brother Kong. Sit down and talk, you and I are not outsiders. Kong Saran gestured, and then looked back. There was a maid outside the door immediately offering excellent tea. After closing the door, Kong Saran said, Brother Yang, is he here to pick up the goods? Exactly, the 2-month period is almost here. How are you preparing? Kong Saran smiled and said, Brother Yang's business is a big business, President Liu is naturally working with all his strength, the Kongling Jing and Kongling Yu are all ready. While speaking, he took out a space ring and put it on the table, facing Yang I pushed it over. This is goods with a total value of 40 million high-grade source crystals. Brother Yang, order it. No need. Yang Kai shook his head. If he was doing this business with someone else, Yang Kai might really want to check to see if the goods are enough, but since it is Kong Saran, naturally there is no need for this. Kong Saran will definitely not cheat him. In fact, Kongling Jing and Kongling Yu, which are worth 40 million high-grade source crystals, need to be transferred from various branches in the southern region within 2 months. With Lu Qi's full efforts, and Kong Saran's stalking and urging, he finally hurried, and finally made up, and there was a little more, but Kong Saran decided to give it to Yang Kai. Compared with this large order of business, the attached goods are not worth mentioning. How much should I pay? Yang Kai asked. Brother Yang paid a deposit of 10 million before, and the other two 12th order inner alchemy are worth 13 million, so Brother Yang needs to pay 17 million for top-grade source crystals. Kong Saran quoted the price. In addition, the vice chairman said, it's fine if Brother Yang doesn't pay Yuanjing. It's the same to take the 12th order inner alchemy. Yang Kai grinned. Guild master has a good plan, I'll pay Yuanjing. Although he has a lot of inner alchemy in his hands, he can't take them out casually. Once there are too many 12th order inner alchemy in the market, it will definitely affect the price. Of course, Yang Kai will not do such a thing of digging his own grave. As for the source crystal, he can even pay off who use 70 million gambling debts, so what is 17 million? Soon, the money and the goods were settled. Kong Saran took out the documents, and the two branded each other's soul marks, which represented the successful completion of this transaction. Yang Kai Dao, Kongling Jing and Kongling Yu have to trouble Brother Kong to continue to help me buy them. If I don't come to you by then, help me send them to Qingyang Temple. No problem. Kong Saran nodded. Again, congratulations to Yang Kairong for being promoted to the position of elder of Qingyang Temple. It's just Elder K. Qing. Yang Kai shook his head. Kong Saran said. The Chamber of Commerce also received an invitation letter last time, but Kong was busy with Kongling Jing and Kongling Yu, so he couldn't get away and couldn't go to congratulate him. I'm ashamed. Brother Kong is offended by saying this, so it's worth not mentioning this matter. Yang Kai smiled slightly. The transaction was completed, and the two chatted casually for a while. Asking about Kong Saran's recent situation, Yang Kai learned that he is now a fish in water in the Fenggulan City branch. Originally, he only had the cultivation base of the first level of Daoyuan. The position of steward of this branch is impossible to sit on no matter what. But because he is very familiar with Fenggulan City, he will reuse it once in a special way. But before meeting Yang Kai's business, he has almost done his job as a manager, and he will be transferred away from the rich and oily place of Fenggulan City in a short time, and he may be sent to some remote place at that time. But Yang Kai's huge business directly turned him around, and he was highly valued by Lu Kai. A transaction of 40 million yuan, who has such a big deal? Not to mention that Yang Kai also promised to bring 2 12th Order Monster Inner Alchemy to the Ziwan Chamber of Commerce every 6 months. This is a long-term business. That alone, no one can replace Kong Saran's position in charge. After all, Yang Kai made this agreement with Ziwan Chamber of Commerce because of Kong Saran's face. But now, among several managers, Lu Kai treats Kong Saran differently. Many big customers appointed him to receive them, especially after the manager named Ji Yu Hong left Maple Forest City. All the customers that belonged to Ji Yu Hong had been taken over by Kong Saran. Today's Kong Saran seems to be the #1 manager of the Ziwan Chamber of Commerce branch. Has Ji Yu Hong left Fengguan City? Yang Kai was a little surprised, thinking that it's no wonder he didn't see him when he came here. That's right, since Brother Yang came last time, he has voluntarily requested to be transferred from Fengguan City. Naturally, President Liu has no reason to refuse such a thing. He immediately let it go with a big wave of his hand. Kong Saran couldn't agree with her smile. Eye to ear, originally he and Ji Yu Hong had a fierce competition, and there was no hope of victory, but he didn't want to be the one who had the last laugh, and Ji Yu Hong, who had an absolute advantage, left voluntarily. Probably felt that there is no possibility of staying. This is also thanks to Brother Yang. Kong Saran kept thanking him and felt that it was all due to Yang Kai. Yang Kai heard it in his ears, and faintly felt that he seemed to grasp something, and asked, how was the situation when Ji Yu Hong left? Kong Saran didn't know why he asked this, but he still thought about it for a while and said, I was in a hurry, those few days seemed to be restless, as if a catastrophe was imminent. This thief. Yang Kai slapped his thigh and snorted coldly. What's wrong? Kong Saran was startled. Yang Kai sneered and said, I understand why he suddenly asked to be transferred from Fengguan City. It's because I'm afraid that I will settle accounts with him. Kong Saran asked suspiciously, did Ji Yu Hong offend Brother Yang? Yang Kai Dao. I don't know what kind of fault is selling customer information in the Chamber of Commerce. Kong Saran was shocked when he heard the words, and said solemnly, this is a serious crime. If it is found out, it will be executed immediately. What does Brother Yang mean? Yang Kai Dao. After I participated in the auction in Fengguan City, I was stopped by Ledongzang, the head of the Duanyu sect when I left the city. At that time, I wondered how this guy knew my movements and was so accurate, blocked me on my way. Now it seems that someone is playing tricks. What? Brother Yang killed Ledong? Kong Saran was startled. Kong Saran knew about the news of Ledongzang's death. After all, he was the head of a sect, and he was also a major customer of the Ziwan Chamber of Commerce. Kong Saran would naturally pay attention, especially after he took over the Ji Yu family. After Hong's client. Ledongzang was originally Ji Yu Hong's client. Since Kong Saran took over, he naturally wanted to pay a visit. Who knew that he went to Duanyumen, but learned that Ledongzang's natal lamp went out, and it was obvious that he died of an accident. After Zheng's death, the Duanyu sect also fell and the monkeys scattered, and thousands of disciples in the sect went their separate ways. After inquiring about the time, Kong Saran learned that Ledong died just after that auction. Not many people know about this matter. Kong Saran didn't know who killed Ledongzang, but now he realizes that it was Yang Kai who did it. Although his cultivation base is not high, but as the steward of Ziwan Chamber of Commerce, his mind is extremely delicate, and he guessed the truth of the matter with just a little deduction from Yang Kai's words. Apparently after that auction, Ji Yu Hong disclosed the news of Yang Kai to Ledongzang, and then Ledongzang wanted to block the way to kill him, but he didn't know that his skills were inferior to others, and he was killed instead of killing people. Yang Kai and Ledongzang had a grudge, and Kong Saran knew about it. And Ji Yu Hong's reason for Yang Kai is even simpler. He competed with Kong Saran for the position of steward. Seeing that Kong Saran's position is stable because of Yang Kai, he is naturally red-eyed. After thinking up to this point, Kong Saran said with a sullen face, this matter is of great importance. Brother Yang, sit down for a while, and I'm going to report to President Liu. Yang Kai Dao. Forget it, since Ledongzang is dead, and Ji Yu Hong has also taken the initiative to transfer out, let's stop here, and there is no need to trouble Chairman Liu. A mere Ji Yu Hong is nothing in his eyes, so naturally there is no need to go to war. Kong Saran said, Brother Yang, you don't know that the Chamber of Commerce values AA reputation the most. If there is no reputation, the Chamber of Commerce will be finished. Ji Yu Hong dares to leak customer information privately, which is absolutely intolerable for the Chamber of Commerce. If he is let go this time, there might be some trouble next time. He pulled out the reputation of the Chamber of Commerce, and Yang Kai couldn't stop him anymore, and said, "It's just that there is no real evidence." Saran said, "No evidence is needed, this matter is too obvious, I believe President Liu can see it." While speaking, he walked out. It can be seen that Saran did not intend to avenge his personal revenge. Although he had an unpleasant competition with Ji Yuhong before, Saran was not a small-hearted person. Obviously, he did this for the sake of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce. A grain of rat droppings can occasionally spoil a pot of porridge. After a short while, Saran walked back. As for the fate of Ji Yuhong and Lu Qi's disposal, Saran didn't say anything, Yang Kai didn't ask, Saran just expressed a little apology on behalf of Lu Kai, and said if Yang Kai wants to buy anything from the Chamber of Commerce in the future, he will get a 10% discount. This is obviously a hush money from Lu Kai. Ji Yuhong's deeds are a disgrace to the Chamber of Commerce, so naturally they can't be spread outside. The 10% off hush money is extremely generous, especially under the premise that the business between Yang Kai and the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce is extremely huge. After chatting for a while, Yang Kai said goodbye and left. Go straight to Linggu City. On the way, he took out the Elder Jade Plate and branded a message to Sha Sheng. When Yang Kai came to Linggu Palace, Sha Sheng was already standing there with a smile on his face. When he saw Yang Kai, he waved enthusiastically. Yang Kai walked over, Sha Sheng put his arms around his shoulders, and said with a smile, "Congratulations, junior brother Yang, you have become the elder of my temple." Yang Kai Dao. "Senior brother, don't laugh at me. What a joke, this matter is a happy event for you in the temple." Sha Sheng patted him on the shoulder and whispered, "I heard that you have seen the second of the 3 taboos of the temple." It's okay not to mention this, but when Sha Sheng mentions this, Yang Kai can't help but think of Gao Shueting's heroic posture when he was drinking and fighting against the heroes that day, and the corners of his mouth can't help but twitch. Sha Sheng laughed loudly. "Just get used to it, just get used to it." To be continued. This book comes from A&A-C1/2. Chapter 2789 Invitation from Yuelu. Sha Sheng enthusiastically welcomed Yang Kai into his room, and after the two were seated separately, Yang Kai asked about Bian Yuqing's situation. The woman successfully broke through the emperor half a month ago, and there was a lot of commotion that day. Sha Sheng looked serious. Breakthrough Emperor Senior. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. The news was expected and unexpected. Originally, according to Bian Yuqing's aptitude, even if she could enter the heaven-level secret ground of Linggu Palace and practice for 2 months, the possibility of breakthrough is very small. After all, her talent in martial arts is not very good, and she was wasted in Daoyuan. After so many years, his vigor has been completely worn out. Without the enterprising spirit, how can he make a breakthrough? If there is no accident, Daoyuan 3rd level realm is the pinnacle that she can achieve in her life. However, Ko Wu's death has greatly stimulated her, and with Yang Kai's help, the large amount of source crystals left before her departure and the Emperor Pill to assist her cultivation, she can make breakthroughs and make great strides forward. It's a matter of course again. In any case, this is also a happy event, which means that Lingxiao Palace has added another strong emperor. The Linggu Palace has been established for many years. Countless warriors have broken through their own shackles here to pry into the deeper mysteries of the realm. However, not many people have been promoted to Emperor Zun here. The news of Bian Yuqing's breakthrough that day shocked the entire Linggu city unbelievable, especially those martial artists waiting in line to enter the Linggu Palace for retreat and practice. All of them seemed to have seen new hope, full of energy, and only waited for their turn to enter the secret ground of Linggu Palace to practice hard. She has been stabilizing her cultivation for the past half-month, and she should be able to leave the customs in a few days. Sha Sheng smiled slightly. As one of the 3 deacons of Linggu Palace, he naturally knew Bian Yuqing's situation well, let alone Bian Yuqing. Yuqing is someone brought by Yang Kai, and she will help and take care of him to some extent. It's so good. Yang Kai nodded happily. What's going on, junior brother? Sha Sheng suddenly changed the subject and asked. Yang Kai Dao. I need to go to the Star God Palace, what do you want me to do? Go to Star God Palace. Sha Sheng was stunned for a moment, but he didn't ask Yang Kai what he was doing in Star God Palace. He pondered for a moment and said, how long will it take? A month or 2 will do. In this case, the time can catch up. He grinned and said, I want my junior brother to help me. I don't know if my junior brother is free. Senior brother, please tell me. Yang Kai looked serious. Sha Sheng didn't say what he was doing, but turned his head to look at the back room, and said, Xiao Hua, come out, you know junior brother Yang, don't hide. After the words fell, a young woman in palace attire walked out of the room, a long skirt wrapped her exquisite body, she had a heart-pounding smile on her face, her pair of water-cut pupils were full of water, and she was hesitant to speak. Palace Master Hua. Yang Kai looked at the beautiful woman who suddenly appeared in surprise. This woman is Hua Yulu, the lord of the Baihua Palace. She met her once in the Qingyang Temple a few days ago, but she did not expect to meet her again here. Hua Yulu also inquired about Sha Sheng that day, and it seemed that she came directly to Linggu Palace after leaving Qingyang Temple. And although Yang Kai also noticed that there was another person in the room before, but since he couldn't hide it, he didn't go into it, and he was surprised to see the real body at this moment. This man and a woman seemed to have some adultery. Yang Kai's expression suddenly became meaningful. Hua Yulu seemed a little embarrassed, her cheeks were slightly red, and she bowed gracefully when she got close, and said softly, I have met Elder Yang before. Palace Master Hua is too polite. Yang Kai hastily raised his hand. Not mentioning that Hua Yulu is equal to his own cultivation level and is the lord of the first palace, but just talking about the unclear relationship between her and Sha Sheng, Yang Kai couldn't accept such courtesy from her. Yang Kai turned his head to look at Sha Sheng and said, Senior brother, is it related to Palace Master Hua that you asked for my help? Sha Sheng smiled slightly. Yes, it is indeed related to Xiao Hua. Looking up at Hua Yulu, he said, Xiao Hua, tell yourself. Hua Yulu nodded slightly, her red lips parted slightly, and said slowly, it's like this, 3 months ago, when I went to the South Marsh to search for medicinal herbs, I stumbled across an ancient cave. Ancient cave mansion. Yang Kai was shocked when he heard this. Hua Yulu nodded, it is indeed an ancient cave mansion. That cave mansion has been left for a long time, and it exudes a very ancient and vicissitudes of life. I don't know who left it. The concubine and the other two took risks. Going in and exploring, although I tried my best to break several restrictions that had been in disrepair for a long time and gain some benefits, but in the end, I was blocked by a layer of stronger restrictions and could not enter. Why are there 2 other people? Yang Kai frowned. Hua Yulu said, although the South Marsh is dangerous everywhere, there are many chances. It is said that the South Marsh is the place where ancient warriors rose up and gathered, so there are many good things hidden there, and the special environment there, it can also give birth to some peerless elixir. Many strong people will explore and search for the place in Nanmao. When the ancient cave appears, there will be some small movements. If it is not the case, the concubine will not be able to find it. The other 2 are also attracted to it. Yang Kai nodded after listening, vaguely understanding the situation at that time. Hua Yulu continued. Among the other 2, one of them knows a little bit about the way of the restraint formation. According to that person's speculation, the layer of restraint blocking our way can't be broken with the strength of the 3 of us. Others helped, so the 3 of us agreed to find a helper each, and we will meet again in Nanmao half a year later. And you found senior brother Sha? Yang Kai asked. Hua Yulu smiled wryly and said, although I know a lot of Emperor Senior Realm, but there are not many that I can really trust. It is not uncommon to see profit and forget righteousness, and murder and seize treasures are not uncommon on the road of martial artist cultivation. This kind of thing of finding someone to cooperate in an expedition is naturally to find a trustworthy person. Otherwise, if you just pick up a word, you may die unexpectedly. Sha Sheng said, Junior brother Yang, I really can't get away from you, the temple sent me here, but if I have to stay for 3 years, I won't go anywhere before the time is up. Otherwise there is no need to bother my brother about this matter. Gone. It's okay, I just went to explore an ancient cave. Yang Kai waved his hand, looked at Hua Yulu and said, it's just, are you familiar with the other 2, can you trust them? Hua Yulu replied, it's not familiar. It was the first time we met, but it was only at the first level of Emperor Senior. As for whether you believe it or not, since we met for the first time, how can we talk about trust? But I don't trust them, and they certainly won't trust me. So when we separated, the 3 of us each made a big oath of demons, vowing not to leak the matter of this ancient cave, and only allowed to search for Emperor Zun. Helpers at the level and below, and each person can only bring 1 person here. Is that so? Yang Kai stroked his chin and thought about it. Although the heart demon oath is something that is said in words, but the cultivation base has reached the level of Emperor Senior Realm, this kind of oath cannot be made casually. Once violated, the heart demon may appear and affect the future. Since they were restrained by the oath of the heart demon, for the time being, they can be trusted that the two will not leak the news at will, and this matter is still a bit messy. If my predictions are correct, then the two of them will definitely find the helpers of Emperor Senior's second-order realm. Hua Yulu looked at Yang Kai with a burning gaze, and said, if Elder Yang has any scruples, forget about it. I will think of another way. It's not that she can't find helpers at the second level of Emperor Senior realm, it's just that those people really can't cooperate, otherwise they won't find Sha Shang. It wasn't long before Emperor Zun was on the first floor, but if he really put his life on the line, it would not be easy for Emperor Zun to kill him at the second floor of Emperor Zun. As for Yang Kai's strength, Hua Yulu also saw it with his own eyes at the canonization ceremony that day, and even the elders of the Star God Palace could be injured. Calculated, it should be almost the same as Sha Shang. Sha Shang said from the side, brother, you can consider this matter yourself, you don't need to worry about me, I just mentioned it casually, you decide whether you want it or not. He was obviously afraid that Yang Kai would worry about his own face, so he reluctantly agreed. Yang Kai smiled and said, I am also very interested in the ancient cave. Hua Yulu's beautiful eyes lit up, and she said, Elder Yang agrees. Yang Kai didn't answer, but said, the ancient cave can make the three of you so obsessed, and you have to find helpers to explore it even if you work hard, think about what benefits you have gained from it. There are indeed benefits. Hua Yulu nodded frankly, Elder Yang doesn't ask about this matter, I am ready to explain it. The three of us did not explore deeply in that ancient cave mansion. Although we have broken several restrictions, the benefits we get there are only a few items, and this item is the benefit I got from the cave. While talking, Hua Yulu flipped her hands and took out a small flower drum. The little flower drum doesn't look special, it's about the size of a person's palm, and I don't know what it is made of, but as soon as it is taken out, there is a very special aura rippling. Yang Kai's eyes narrowed, prehistoric treasure. This little flower drum, like his mountain and river clock, is a genuine treasure of the wild, exuding a pure spirit of the wild. In ancient times, the aura tides of heaven and earth were very different from those of today, so the various mystic arts and supernatural powers cultivated by ancient warriors, and even the secret treasures they used were very different from those of this era. But it is undeniable that the prehistoric treasures that have been handed down from ancient times cannot be underestimated. It's just that the number of prehistoric treasures is too rare. For nearly 10,000 years, only the mountain and river clocks have been recorded. There may be other unknown prehistoric treasures, but the entire star world must not exceed 10 pieces. Now there is one in Hua Yulu's hand. To be continued. Chapter 2790 Agreement. This Dementor drum can frighten the mind. It's not too powerful, but it's better in concealment, making it hard to guard against. While Hua Yulu was speaking, she suddenly stretched out her hand and patted the small flower drum lightly. Strangely enough, no sound came out. But there was a soundless force rippling, as if a sharp blade was cutting towards Yang Kai's sea of AA consciousness. Unprepared, Yang's heart skipped a beat. But it is true as Hua Yulu said, the power of the Dementor drum is not great, so it failed to break through his sea of AA consciousness defense. Of course, this also has something to do with Hua Yulu's failure to completely refine it and whether it has been fully activated. Even so, this is extremely remarkable. Just imagine, two people with equal strength, when they are fighting for life and death, Hua Yulu suddenly activates the power of Dementor drum, the opponent will definitely suffer. This Dementor drum is used well. It is definitely a weapon that turns defeat into victory and kills invisible. It is more versatile than ordinary Emperor treasures. Good stuff. Yang Kai tried the power of soul-destroying drum himself, and praised it without hesitation. Hua Yulu said, Elder Yang is absurd. Yang Kai Dao. The three of you went to explore, you got the soul-destroying drum, what did the other two get? Hua Yulu replied, one of them practiced a secret technique in that cave. I don't know what kind of concubine he is. That person didn't show it, but judging from his expression at that time, it should be very powerful. The other one was in the cave. The cultivation base in that cave has greatly increased. Originally, among the three of us, that person's strength was the lowest, and he should have been promoted to the first level of Emperor Senior not long ago, but when he left, his aura was already the strongest among the three of us. Quote. It can also make people's cultivation base skyrocket. Yang Kai was taken aback. It is rare to see chances that can make an Emperor Senior realm cultivation level skyrocket. From this, it can be seen that this ancient cave must have a lot of background. If you really explore it completely, I'm afraid you don't know how much benefit you will get. If it was for Sha Sheng's sake that Hua Yulu had agreed to accompany her to explore the ancient cave, then Yang Kai was really interested at the moment. Martial artist training is not behind closed doors. Going out to practice is the most important way. Occasional opportunities are often better than years of hard work in closed doors. Since Elder Yang is interested, how about we meet up in the South Marsh after 2 months? Hua Qingxi asked Yang Kai. Okay, Yang Kai nodded. Naturally he had no objection, just took advantage of this time to go to the Star God Palace and enter the 5-color pagoda to practice. The two immediately exchanged contact information, and each engraved a soul brand on the other's compass. In this way, as long as the distance is not too far, they can send messages to each other. Then it's settled like this, and Xiao Hua will have to rely on your junior brother to take care of her. Sha Sheng smiled slightly. Yang Kai said generously, Senior brother, don't worry, I will give the senior brother to bring back Palace Master Hua intact. Sha Sheng was blushing, non-committal, but Hua Yulu's cheeks were flushed, and she secretly glanced at Sha Sheng, and immediately showed a disappointed expression. Yang Kai had a panoramic view of the expressions of these two people, and vaguely understood the relationship between these two people. I've been living in Lingu City these days. If Bian Yuqing leaves the customs, please let me know. Don't worry, Sha Sheng said seriously, I will visit her often. Yang Kai just left, and when he turned around to prepare, he suddenly turned back and said, By the way, Palace Master Hua, what do you remember about the restriction that blocked your way? Hua Yulu was startled, then nodded and said, Remember, do Elder Yang need it? I can draw it for you to see. Better. Hua Yulu immediately took out a blank jade slip, dipped her spiritual thoughts into it, imprinted what she saw that day, and handed it to Yang Kai Dao. This is the prohibition, it should be an ancient formation, I don't know the formation, I can't see any tricks, Ida just wrote memorization, but there should be no mistakes, A. With her level of cultivation, a photographic memory is the most basic skill. I don't understand either, but I can ask others. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Hua Yulu's eyes brightened and said, Elder Yang knows someone who is proficient in formations. This is the best. I was planning to go to the Gong family in Tianhe Valley, but now it seems that it is unnecessary. The Gong family of Tianhe Valley, the masters of formation recognized by the southern region, Hua Yulu is not an ignorant person, so it is impossible to completely trust the other two emperors. The formation was cleared up. The Tianhe Valley Gong family is the best choice. But now with Yang Kai's words, she saved some trouble. After all, if he went to Tianhe Valley, Hua Yulu could only lie if someone from the Gong family asked about the origin of the formation. Leave this matter to me. Palace Master Hua has been recharging her energy for the past 2 months. I'll see you in Nanmao then. Thank you, Elder Yang. Hua Yulu nodded her thanks. Before Yang Kai left, Sha Sheng stood up and said, Xiao Hua, you can do what you want, I'll go out for a while. Where are you going? Hua Yulu looked at him angrily, leaving in such a hurry, are you afraid that I will eat you? The corner of Sha Sheng's mouth twitched, and he said, I'm afraid you will do something, but if I don't work hard to cultivate, I'm afraid the position of this senior brother will not be stable. With his hands behind his back, he walked out shaking his head, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Stinky man. Hua Yulu puffed up her cheeks angrily, her face was full of displeasure, the master had already left, what's the point of staying as a guest, she could only leave with her, leaving only a scent of fragrance lingering. Yang Kai had only lived in an inn in Lingu City for less than 3 days when Bian Yuqing, who was full of vigor, came to the door. In the room, with 4 eyes facing each other, Yang Kai nodded slightly, not bad. Bian Yuqing stroked her hair around her ear, smiled wryly and said, thanks to your help, otherwise I wouldn't be here today. She was also shocked in her heart, she thought that she had been promoted to Emperor Senior, and there should be no more pressure in the face of Yang Kai, but after meeting this time, Bian Yuqing was shocked to find that she couldn't see his depth. If he hadn't known that he was also a first-level emperor, Bian Yuqing might suspect that he was a third-level powerhouse. Why is the gap still so big? It can be released or not, the realm has not been completely stabilized. Yang Kai commented, when will the aura of the whole body be restrained, it will be considered completely stable. I remember, thank you Palace Master for your guidance. Bian Yuqing replied honestly, feeling a little weird in her heart. 10 years ago, she was aloof in front of this young man, but more than 10 years later, this role was suddenly reversed. Come over. I was able to survive and be promoted to Emperor Zun, all thanks to this person. Looking back on the past, it is really embarrassing. Yang Kai smiled slightly. It seems that you are ready to join my Lingxiao palace. Bian Yuqing smiled and said, doesn't the palace lord want me? What's the matter? Yang Kai got up and greeted, let's go. Leaving Linggu City and flying all the way forward, Bian Yuqing was also constantly stabilizing her newly broken cultivation base as she was on her way. After 2 days like this, the effect was extremely obvious, and her Emperor Senior Realm aura was obviously restrained a lot. Palace Master, where are we going now? Seeing Yang Kai's leisurely look, Bian Yuqing couldn't help asking. Send you back to Lingxiao Palace. Yang Kai replied. Back to the palace. Bian Yuqing was startled, and said in surprise, but isn't Lingxiao Palace in the Northern Territory? The northern region and the southern region are hundreds of millions of miles away. It may take several years to fly all the way. If there is any delay on the way, it is not uncommon for it to take 10 years. Originally wanted to persuade Yang Kai to speed up, or use the space magic circle to teleport a few times, which can save some time, but seeing that Yang Kai didn't mean it, Bian Yuqing didn't talk too much. Anyway, she has joined Lingxiao Palace now. Yang Kai can do whatever he wants, and he has nothing to worry about, even this life was saved by him. After another 3 days, the two arrived at a desolate and dilapidated place. If I remember correctly, this should be the Chenni sect, right? Bian Yuqing followed Yang Kai down, turned her head and looked around, and said. It's Chiba sect. Bian Yuqing sighed. The birth and death of the sect is like the ebb and flow of the tide. If you don't have the strength, you really can't stand. She seemed to have some feelings. Seeing the exterminated Chenni sect, she couldn't help thinking of the Jade Feather sect. Speaking of which, the strength of the two sects was similar, and their endings were almost the same. Come in. While she was in a trance, Yang Kai had already stood on the space magic circle in the valley and greeted her. Although Bian Yuqing was surprised, she stood up obediently. The next moment, the two of them appeared in the small world. Yang Kai didn't say much, but directly led Bian Yuqing to fly towards Emperor Tiangu. After Bian Yuqing saw the cross-domain space magic circle, she suddenly looked shocked, and said in amazement, this is it. Yang Kai Dao. Pass this and return to Lingxiao Palace. I have 3 jade briefs for you to take back. Bian Yuqing restrained her thoughts, took the 3 jade slips, and asked, who should I give them to? Yang Kai Dao. This one is given to a person named Hua Qingxi. She is the chief manager of my Lingxiao Palace, who manages the affairs of the palace. You give this jade slip to her, and she will make good arrangements for you. The other 2 you asked Hua Qingxi to hand it over to the South Gate Army. Do you remember? Bian Yuqing nodded seriously. I remember. Go. Yang Kai waved his hand. Only then did Bian Yuqing step onto the circle and stand in place. With a movement of Yang Kai's hand, many high-grade source crystals were accurately embedded in the grooves. When the law of space was activated, the magic circle hummed and ran, and the light flashed, and Bian Yuqing disappeared. Vaguely, before Bian Yuqing disappeared, her lips opened and closed, as if to express her thanks. Yang Kai smiled, turned and left Emperor Sky Valley. Target, Star God Palace. For mobile phone users, please visit opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. Chapter 2791 9 Stars Crush the Moon. There are not many great emperor sects in the Star Realm, and there are only 3 of them: the Ghost Palace of the Great Emperor Yuehun of the Eastern region, the Star God Palace of the Great Emperor Mingyu of the Southern region, and the Shadow Killing Palace of the Great Emperor Yang of the Western region. Of course, the Medicine Pill Valley and the Spirit Beast Island are also considered to be the power of the Great Emperor, but they are not considered sects. After all, they have not recruited many disciples. Whether it is the Medicine Pill Valley or the Spirit Beast Island, they are just the 2 great emperors, secluded places, and ordinary people have no chance have to go in. And any great emperor's sect is the god of Dinghai, the guardian god of the great domain where the sect is located, awe-inspiring and inviolable. As the overlord sect of the Southern Territory, the Star God Palace has been playing such a role for tens of thousands of years, making hundreds of millions of warriors in the Southern Territory admire and worship it. Tens of thousands of years have passed, and the source power of all living beings has gathered. The existence of the Star God Palace seems to be closely related to the luck of the entire southern region. Someone once said that if the Star God Palace is destroyed one day, the entire southern region will be in dire straits, and the lives will be destroyed, beyond redemption. However, with Emperor Mingyu in charge, it would definitely not be easy to destroy the Star God Palace, unless there was another turmoil in the era of Emperor Tian Devourer. When Yang Kai rushed to Xingyu Mountain, it was already 7 days later. Xingyu Mountain is extremely high, majestic and precipitous, it seems to be bordering the 9 heavens, the sun and moon can be picked by tentacle, and the stars can be covered by flipping hands. A heavy and vicissitudes of momentum rushed towards him, as if in front of him was not a mountain range, but a living giant, standing in the southern region for tens of thousands of years, overlooking the ups and downs of the common people. Yang Kai has a wide range of knowledge and experience, and he has seen a lot of phenomena in various sects. Not to mention the top sects such as Qingyang Temple, Bingxin Valley and Wenqing sect are almost the same, but no other sect can rival the Star God Palace. Standing here, it seems that the whole person has received an inexplicable sublimation, which makes people feel a very subtle sense of excitement and joy. In the mountains and fields, rare birds and beasts frolicked and wandered. Covered by clouds and mists, pavilions are looming, creating a fairyland scene. It is so beautiful that it makes people forget to return. Is this the great emperor's sect? Yang Kai murmured. Who? Yang Kai just stood there for a while. Then he heard a shout of anger, and 2 streamers of light flew towards him quickly, and they turned into the figures of 2 people when they got close. A generation with a bright future, in time. It is very possible to break through the shackles of Emperor Zun and become a generation of powerhouses. Such an excellent martial artist, in any sect, must be fully cultivated and taught as a successor. But looking at the appearance of these 2 people, it seems that they are just guarding the mountain. Yang Kai couldn't help feeling that the Star God Palace was indeed the Star God Palace, and this background was only comparable to the Ghost Palace and the Shadow Killing Palace, both of the great emperor's sect. This is Xingyu Mountain, idlers are not allowed to trespass, come and go wherever they come from, otherwise they will not be forgiven. Among the 2 Dao origin realms, a martial artist on the left who looked a little more stable shouted at Yang Kai. Although the cultivation base is much lower than that of Yang Kai. But neither he nor the other person showed the slightest fear, instead shouting at Yang Kai. This is the confidence of the Star God Palace disciples. In the eyes of the Star God Palace disciples, there are 2 types of warriors in the entire southern region. One is from the same door, and the other is not from the same door. Yang Kai is undoubtedly the latter, so no matter how high or low his cultivation is, they don't need to care too much. Glancing at these 2 people, Yang Kai clasped his fists and said, I was invited by someone to come to the appointment, please stay safe and don't be impatient. Invited by someone, the young man who spoke before frowned, looked at Yang Kai suspiciously, and said, who invited you? Maybe you can name it. My senior brother will pass it on for you. Since the person in front of him was invited, it meant that he had something to do with his fellow disciples. It's not easy to offend easily, so the tone of speech has eased a little. Yang Kai was about to tell the truth. Suddenly his expression changed again, and he smiled and said, no need, someone is here to pick me up. Hearing the words, the 2 senior brothers turned their heads and looked away. I saw a colorful light over there coming from far to near, quickly coming, and stopped not far away in the blink of an eye, and the light dissipated, revealing a beautiful and moving figure. Senior brother Yang, Lan Xuan greeted with a smile, and in an instant, the whole world seemed to lose its color. Grand, His Royal Highness Princess. The 2 senior brothers were dumbfounded for a moment, staring blankly at Lan Xuan who suddenly appeared, their eyeballs were almost frozen and unable to move. Originally heard Yang Kai said that he was invited by someone, the 2 didn't pay much attention to it, it was nothing more than an outsider who had some relationship with their own family, but now it seems that the person who invited him was actually His Royal Highness Princess of the Star God Palace. How could it be Her Royal Highness? Her Royal Highness has an outstanding appearance. Not only has she inherited the Emperor's body of the moon, but she also has talent in martial arts that few can match, who is the dream lover of many young talents. Even the proud Star God Palace disciples are proud to have a word with His Highness the Princess. There are very few people who may receive this honor. Only Brother Xiao Chenxiao, who has been guarding Her Royal Highness all year round, can always see Her Royal Highness's audio smile. How could such a figure who was regarded as a goddess by countless Star God Palace disciples invite a man here? Shocked, the 2 could barely think. Junior sister Lan, you came so fast. Yang Kai replied. When he came to Xingyu Mountain, he contacted Lan Xuan, coming to actually call her junior sister Lan. The eyes of the 2 Star God Palace disciples stared even wider. Seeing Yang Kai and Lan Xuan's extremely intimate appearance, their hearts tugged inexplicably. It's better to die, there is no love in this life. Senior brother Yang sent a message, so my younger sister will come here quickly. Lan Xuan laughed, and gestured with her hand, brother, please. Thank you. Yang Kai nodded and walked away in the air. When he got to Lan Xuan's side, Lan Xuan took a step forward and led the way. It wasn't until the figures of the two disappeared that the two Star God Palace disciples looked at each other in despair. Before Lan Xuan appeared, he didn't say a word to them from the beginning to the end, and didn't even look at them. All the attention was on the outsider. What does this mean? This shows that Her Highness the Princess attaches great importance to that person, otherwise Her Royal Highness, who is usually kind, would not even give herself a smile. Senior brother, Brother Xiao is in trouble. The junior who had been silent all this time said sadly. Yeah, I don't know if Senior Brother Xiao knows about this, if Senior Brother Xiao knows. Xiao Chen is naturally Xiao Chen in the two people's mouth. Among the disciples of the same generation in the entire Star God Palace, if anyone had the most contact with Her Highness the Princess, it would undoubtedly be Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen is fine in everything else, but he is extremely cautious about Lan Xuan. If any senior brother spoke to His Highness the Princess, he would bear a grudge in his heart and find an opportunity to teach him a lesson. However, His Royal Highness the Princess treats him like an elder brother, and has never had any affection for a man and a woman. But now it seems that the outsider intends to poach Senior Brother Xiao's corner. If Xiao Chen knows about this, then it's okay. Senior Brother Xiao is fine, the key is Brother Lei. Mentioning that Senior Brother Lei, the two senior brothers suddenly showed a look of fear on their faces, as if they were greatly frightened. They quickly glanced left and right, and then hurried away after confirming that there was no one there. At the same time, in the Star Palace, the core hall of the Star God Palace, a boy with the appearance of a boy who was meditating cross-legged suddenly opened his eyes. Those eyes were actually full of stars, scorching like brilliance. Looking up, the sharp hawk-like eyes seemed to be able to pierce through the sky and reach the sky. Suddenly, the young man frowned, and said in surprise, 9 stars rushing to the moon. How could it be 9 stars rushing to the moon? My name is Mingyu, this is coming to attack me, an ominous omen, an ominous omen. Few people in the world know that Emperor Mingyu, who is famous in the star realm and is like the patron saint of the southern region, looks like a fledgling youth from the outside. While talking, he lowered his head again, pinched an extremely weird spell with one hand, and a strange breath permeated, while the other closed his 5 fingers and moved them together, pointing their fingertips together. After a while, the young man twitched the corner of his mouth, let go of the judging, and muttered, Old man Tianji's secret art is really nonsense, he can't figure out anything, but he has the nerve to claim to be able to discern the secrets, and when he sees him, he will pluck his beard. Quote. Putting his hands on his cheeks and thinking for a while, the young man lost his interest and said, Forget it, the left and right are just small disasters and troubles, so it's not worth bothering about. After saying that, he closed his eyes and adjusted his breath again. Senior Brother Yang, stay here for the next few days. On the South Do Peak, Lan Xuan arranged for Yang Kai to stay and said. Yang Kai Dao, Junior Sister Lan, when can I enter the 5-color pagoda? If there is no previous agreement with Hua Yulu, Yang Kai is not in a hurry. After all, this is the great emperor's sect, staying here for a while is not harmful to him, maybe there will be some unexpected gains. It's just that there is an agreement first, and he is also afraid of delaying time. After all, even if you enter the 5-color pagoda, you will have to practice for a month in it. It takes time to rush back and forth, so we can't delay too long. Lan Xuan smiled and said, Senior Brother Yang, don't worry, since father has promised you, he will definitely not break his word. But logically speaking, the 5-color pagoda will take half a year to open, but since we have made a promise to Senior Brother Yang, my Star God Palace, we need to make some preparations here, and it will take 5 days at the latest. That's good. Yang Kai heaved a sigh of relief. Lan Xuan smiled and said, looking at Senior Brother Yang's eagerness, could it be that he has an appointment with some beautiful woman? She joked casually, but seeing Yang Kai startled for a moment, she suddenly said in surprise, Is it true that you have an appointment with a beautiful woman? Yang Kai said with a dark face, Don't talk nonsense, but there is indeed an agreement. Lan Xuan pursed her lips and smiled coquettishly, Senior Brother Yang, you don't need to explain, well, I'm leaving first, and I will come to inform you when the 5-color pagoda is opened. To be continued. Chapter 2792 Thunder. Phone reading. Nando Peak is a sub-peak of Xingyu Mountain where Xingshan Palace is located, but the cultivation environment is also extremely favorable, and the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth is not inferior to the main peak of Lingxiao Palace. Please search at IC1/2 to see the most complete. The fastest updated novel. The place where the Star God Palace is located, where hundreds of millions of warriors in the Southern Territory gather, is not only closely related to the luck of the Southern Territory but also suppresses the entire Southern Territory's terrestrial veins. It is only natural to have such abundant aura of heaven and earth. After arranging for Yang Kai to stay, Lan Xuan left. For a while, the Nando Peak was quiet and far away, and Yang Kai's state of mind seemed to have been affected a little bit. Becoming extremely stable, without being disturbed by anyone, he closed his eyes and sat up in meditation, practicing the dragon transformation secret technique taught by Zhu Qing before leaving. In a flash of time, it was night. Yang Kai, who was cultivating, seemed to have sensed something, suddenly opened his eyes, and walked out of the room in a flash, standing on top of Nando Peak. What he saw made him open his mouth involuntarily. I saw the crescent moon in the sky, full of stars, and above the entire Xingyu Mountain, there seemed to be a beautiful picture scroll, and every star radiated dazzling light, as if it was within reach. What makes Yang Kai unbelievable the most is that among the stars, there are rays of light hanging down from the sky, connecting the sky and the earth. The star's light seems to contain a kind of magical power, which makes the entire world of Xingyu Mountain aura. It has become more agile, and the world is filled with a charm that cannot be experienced during the day. It is intangible, but it coincides with the truth of the Tao. The entire Xingyu Mountain looks like a fairyland at this moment, making people linger and forget to return. Yang Kai stared blankly, forgetting to breathe, his mind unprecedentedly calm. This is the star tide. Once a month, the emperor said, the power of the star tide contains the avenue of heaven and earth. If you can get a glimpse of it, you will benefit endlessly. Well, in fact, many of my Star God Palace disciples are under the star tide. There are a lot of benefits from it. It may be blessed to break through the shackles of the cultivation base, or the inspiration bursts to comprehend supernatural powers, especially for the disciples of my Star God Palace who have practiced the Xingyu divine art, the benefits are even greater. A voice suddenly sounded not far away. So that's how it is. Yang Kai didn't look surprised at all, immersed in the starlight, but he didn't know if it was because he was not a disciple of the Star God Palace, so although he felt that the star tide was quite magical. I also felt its magic, but I didn't get any benefits. Xiaoqing. Yang Kai turned his head and looked at a young man with a strong figure and his hands behind his back. What do you call it? The young man turned his head and grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. Thunder. Yang Kai frowned and pondered for a while. I have heard for a long time that the four elders of the Star God Palace have three-layer mirrors, and among them, the elder Lei Hong is the most powerful, far surpassing the general three-layer mirrors of emperors. You and Elder Lei, what relation? Lei Ting pouted, as if he was not happy to hear Lei Hong's name. But still truthfully said, uncle and nephew. Yang Kai snorted. It turned out to be Elder Lei's nephew. Lei Ting's eyes were sharp and menacing. I prefer to hear you say that he is my Lei Ting's uncle. Yang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said, sorry, I have only heard of the reputation of great Elder Lei. Lei Ting suddenly snorted coldly, and suddenly some light blue arcs wandered between the hairs, crackling and exploding, and said in a deep voice, I have been retreating in the Star God Palace all year round, and I rarely travel outside. Of course you have never heard of me, but it does not matter, you will often hear my name from today on. Then Brother Lei. Yang Kai smiled slightly, not feeling too cold about his brazen words. What's the point of visiting late at night? Lei Ting lowered his eyes. A cold light bloomed from the slits in the eyes. I heard that when you came today, Her Highness the Princess came out to greet you in person. There is such a thing. Yang Kai nodded. Lei Ting breathed heavily, gritted his teeth and said, so, you are very close to Her Highness the Princess. I can't talk about it, I just met it a few times. Yang Kai touched his chin and said with some headaches, I probably understand what Brother Lei came to me for. Just understand. Let's fight quickly. If you lose, get out of the Star God Palace immediately, and never see Your Highness the Princess again. Lei Ting shouted angrily, and the aura of the first layer of Emperor Senior was boiling, as if standing what was in front of him was not Yang Kai whom he met for the first time, but an enemy with whom he had the hatred of killing his father and taking his wife. Yang Kai stared and said, did you choose the wrong opponent? Shouldn't your enemy be Xiao Chen? He is the biggest obstacle between you and the princess. Lei Ting sneered. Xiao Chen is a fart. If he dares to be disobedient, his father won't recognize him if he beats him. Yang Kai was stunned. Xiao Chen is also a rising star in the southern region, and now he has been promoted to Emperor Senior. Although Lei Ting looks more powerful, he is only at the first level of Emperor Senior, so why dare he speak so brazenly? But about this thunder, Yang Kai had never heard of it before. He always thought that Xiao Chen and Lan Xuan were leading the generation of Star God Palace, but now it seems that there is one more person. Thinking about what he said before, Yang Kai quickly felt relieved. If he had been retreating in the Star God Palace all year round and didn't go out much, it wouldn't be strange if his reputation didn't show. After pondering for a while, Yang Kai said seriously, "Brother Lei, I think you may have misunderstood me." Lei Ting's attitude of picking faults as soon as he came made Yang Kai a little unhappy, but now he is still a guest. If there is any conflict with Lei Ting, maybe he will hate the high level of the Star God Palace, especially this Lei Ting uncle is still the great elder Lei Hong. It would be unbeautiful if my 5-color pagoda practice was ruined. Yang Kai was only halfway through speaking, and Lei Ting shouted, "What nonsense, hurry up and fight." When the words fell, he raised his hand, and a deep purple thunder and lightning crackled, suddenly condensed into a lightning whip in his hand, and swept towards Yang Kai. It was powerful and powerful, quite a world-opening gesture. The remaining half of Yang Kai's sentence was blocked in his throat, and his expression was also terrified. As soon as Lei Ting made a move, he could see that this guy was indeed stronger than Xiao Chen, and he was stronger than all the first-level emperors he had seen, and it could even be said that he was not inferior to the general second-level emperor environment. This is still the result of Lei Ting not exerting his full strength. If he is allowed to exert his full strength, he may not even be his opponent at the second level of Emperor Zun. Sure enough, there are a few brushes, no wonder they dare to find fault. The electric whip struck, and Yang Kai's million swords were thrown out, lying in front of him. With a clang, the flames splashed in all directions, although the electric whip's strike was blocked, but the terrifying electric current was transmitted to Yang Kai's hand along the million sword. In an instant, Yang Kai's body surface was actually an electric snake swimming away, and his hair stood on end. Di Yuan shook, dispelling the electrical energy that had invaded his body. Before he could recover, the electric whip actually came back again. In the midair, the head of the whip twisted and transformed into a huge electric python. It opened its bloody mouth, and the lightning and thunder in its mouth were frightening. Bite off towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai made a tactic with one hand, flicked his fingers, and a moon blade shot out. Cut through the head of the electric python, directly breaking it into two. A sound of surprise came, and Lei Ting was obviously also very surprised. I have practiced this electric secret technique for many years, and only I know how powerful it is. It is impossible for ordinary Emperor Senior one layer to crack like this, but Yang Kai just seems to hit it casually. Then let the electric python be divided into two. And that supernatural power also gives people a very weird feeling. There are fluctuations in space power. The Thunder Python dissipated, but Lei Ting had already taken advantage of the cover of the Thunder Python to bully him. In the blink of an electric light, he had approached within 3 feet of Yang Kai. He raised a big palm like a cattail leaf fan. The electric current in his palm sizzled and sneered, took a photo of Yang Kai. "You are enough," Yang Kai shouted angrily, raised his finger and pointed towards Lei Ting's palm. If this finger is solid, a hole will definitely be broken in Lei Ting's palm, and Yang Kai may also suffer some injuries, but it will definitely not be too serious. Just when the two palms were about to meet, Lei Ting suddenly shook his body, showing a flustered look on his face, and turned his head to look back in one direction. The slap that was slapped was also instantly frozen in midair. He didn't move, and Yang Kai also stopped his movements, pointing his fingertips on the palm of his hand, his strength condensed without sending out. "Fucking Xiao Chen, ruin my big business." Lei Ting suddenly cursed, withdrew his magical powers, turned and left. After walking a few steps, he turned around again, stared at Yang Kai seriously and said, "I haven't been here tonight, you and I haven't met, and we haven't fought. Understand?" Yang Kai looked up at the sky, and said leisurely, "The night is alluring." Lei Ting wanted to say something more, but it was obviously too late. He glared at Yang Kai bitterly, and his figure flickered, turning into a thunderbolt, which disappeared in an instant. Less than 3 breaths after he left, a beam of colored light landed on Nando Peak. Lan Xuan looked at Yang Kai and said, "Senior brother Yang, are you all right?" "It's okay, what can be the matter?" Yang Kai smiled slightly. The night in the Star God Palace is not bad, come out and blow some air. I heard Lei Ting is here, he didn't trouble you, did he? Who was Lei Ting? Yang Kai looked at Lan Xuan in astonishment, with a blank expression on his face, but the bristling hair betrayed him deeply. Lan Xuan took a look, pursed his lips and smiled. Yang Kai casually wiped his hair, and said lightly, the night wind messed up my hairstyle. Lan Xuan said, this guy Lei Ting is so stupid in cultivation, he's a little unreasonable. Brother Yang, the next time you see him, let me know as soon as possible, and I will take care of him. Yang Kai was silent for a moment, nodded and said, okay. Then senior brother Yang, you continue to blow the air, my little sister will go back first. Lan Xuan covered her mouth with a coquettish smile, turned and left. Thunder. Yang Kai rubbed his chin, thought for a while, and suddenly smiled. Not far from the side of Nando Peak, Lei Ting grabbed Xiao Chen's clothes and said viciously, you did it, right? You definitely did it. If you hadn't informed Sister Xuan, how could she come here by such a coincidence? You bastard, give me some more time, and I will be able to drive that guy out of the Star God Palace. Let go of your words, how tactful are you talking about? Xiao Chen lowered his eyes slightly, staring at Lei Ting's big hand with a disgusted expression on his face. To be continued. This book comes from A&A-C1/2. Chapter 2793 5-Color Pagoda. Phone reading. Lei Ting snorted softly, but he also let go of his big hand as he said, and said lightly, I heard that you fought against that guy before, and didn't you take advantage of it? Xiao Chen asked back with a serious face, you also fought against him just now, how strong is he, can't you see? Lei Ting looked serious, thought for a while, then nodded and said, this person is a formidable enemy. Xiao Chen said, what's even worse is that Zuner seems to treat this guy differently. Read the latest update of the novel and come to the internet, so Lei Ting, let's put aside the relationship between you and me, and work together to get this guy from Zuner. It is the right way to drive away from my son. Lei Ting sneered, join together. Do I need to join forces with you? What a joke. Xiao Chen said, do you dare to talk to Zuner? Do you dare to look her in the eyes? Lei Ting's aura was suddenly annihilated, and he murmured for a while before he said in anger, who doesn't have a weakness yet? Xiao Chen sneered, you don't even have the courage to look at Zuner or talk to Zuner, if Zuner is with him, how would you deal with it? Then what do you say? Lei Ting was annoyed. Xiao Chen smiled slightly, with an expression of wisdom in his hands. The 5-color pagoda will open in a few days, and you and I will definitely go in for a month. Are you afraid that you won't find an opportunity? Once you find an opportunity, give him a lifetime opportunity. Unforgettable lesson, when the time comes he will lose all face. Let's beat him up together. Lei Ting hesitated a little, isn't that bad? It's not my fault to bully the few. Xiao Chen said, or you can fight him one-on-one. I will be responsible for keeping Zuner in check and not letting her interfere with you. When Lei Ting heard it, he thought about it seriously, nodded and said, that's very good. He patted Xiao Chen's shoulder heavily and said, you will be responsible for the matter of Sister Xuan, and I will handle that guy. Quote, are you agreeing to cooperate with me? Xiao Chen showed a hidden smile. Cooperation and cooperation, you, the junior brother, have spoken out, so the senior brother should naturally cooperate. Lei Ting laughed, feeling extremely happy. Xiao Chen said with a sullen face, I'm too lazy to argue with you about senior brothers. As long as I can stay with the princess all the time, are you afraid that I won't have a chance to get close to the water? As for you idiot, it's good to get rid of the foreign enemies, and you don't have to worry about the rest. After discussing properly, the two parted ways and went to recharge their batteries. Since that night when Thunder came to make trouble, no one came to Nandofeng to pick quarrels and troubles anymore. The entire Star God Palace seemed to be busy opening the 5-color pagoda, and even Lan Xuan didn't come to look for Yang Kai. After a rare few days of leisure, Yang Kai practiced hard behind closed doors on the Nando Peak, and took the 3 dragon blood pills refined by Ji Ying by the way. The dragon blood pill is indeed amazing, after refining the 3 spirit pills. Yang Kai clearly noticed that his physical quality had improved a bit, although it wasn't too much, but at his level, every improvement was invaluable. If there are more dragon blood pills, maybe the physical body can be raised to a higher level. Too bad there are only 3 of them. On the other hand, the effect of the dragon blood pill that Ji Ying said could purify the blood of the dragon race, Yang Kai didn't feel it. After much deliberation, I realized that I was not a real dragon, but only obtained the original power of the golden holy dragon. Naturally, the effect of this pure dragon blood had nothing to do with me. 5 days later, Yang Kai had just refined the third dragon blood pill. Feeling the improvement of physical quality and still immersed in joy, he noticed someone flying outside. After a while, Lan Xuan's voice came to his ears, "Senior brother Yang." Yang Kai got up and walked out of the hall. Lan Xuan said, "To open the 5-color pagoda today, Senior brother Yang, are you ready?" "There is nothing to prepare." "Then follow me," Lan Xuan said, leading the way. The 5-color pagoda is one of the most important training places in the Star God Palace. It can be said to be an extremely large-scale secret realm, from the Void King realm to the Emperor Prestige realm. Warriors of all levels can practice in it and gain unimaginable benefits. It is rumored that the sealed space in the 5-color pagoda is a broken world, so warriors can easily understand the laws of heaven and earth in it. Although it is a broken law of heaven and earth, it is easier to comprehend and has a miraculous effect on the cultivation of warriors. With the existence of the Immortal Mirror, the powerhouses of the entire Qingyang Temple have attainments in terms of soul power that surpass those of warriors of the same level, and the existence of the 5-color pagoda also allows the warriors of the Star God Palace to be far ahead in understanding the laws of heaven and earth. The deeper the comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth, the purer the warrior's cultivation. It is also easier to practice. It can be said that the 5-color pagoda is a foundation of the Xingshan Palace. It's just that even if it is the Star God Palace, it is not possible to open the 5-color pagoda casually. Every time it is opened, it will consume a lot of manpower and material resources. Not only will several elders contribute at the same time, but the palace will also consume countless geniuses and land treasures. Basically, the Star God Palace will open the 5-color pagoda every 3 years, and select disciples to enter. The number of people who can enter is also limited. In order to get the opportunity to enter and practice in the shrine, disciples of all levels in the shrine often have to conduct a large-scale martial arts half a year in advance. The opening of the 5-color pagoda this time was originally scheduled for half a year later. It's just because of Yang Kai, so I have to advance. Of course, if the Star God Palace had to be opened half a year later, Yang Kai had no choice but to wait slowly, but the God Palace, as the Dinghai God of the Southern Territory, has always kept its promises and would never do anything that would damage its reputation. The early opening this time doubled the manpower and material resources consumed by the Star God Palace. Yang Kai entered the 5-color pagoda once. When he arrived in Fenggalan City at the beginning of the year, Xiao Yuyang opened the entrance from a long distance, allowing all the Void King realm warriors in Fenggalan City to enter and experience it. Yang Kai got a lot of benefits, and his memory of this magical secret realm is still fresh. The reason why he chose to enter the 5-color pagoda to practice for a month instead of asking the Emperor 3 questions was because of the previous experience. Inside the 5-color pagoda, there are a large number of broken laws of heaven and earth, which are not only of great help to his cultivation but also have a perfect function on the mysterious boundary orb. Although the mysterious boundary bead is a small world of its own, the laws of the world in it have not been complete. Yang Kai has had it for many years, but he has never had a chance to repair it. Last time in the 5-color pagoda, the mysterious boundary bead absorbed a lot of broken world. The law made the whole world of mysterious Shaoji perfect. Later in the Sea of AA fragmented stars, the mysterious boundary orb absorbed a large number of broken sources and became more and more perfect. If he could absorb enough broken laws of heaven and earth in the 5-color pagoda this time, or even absorb the power of complete laws, the mysterious boundary orb would be very likely to be completely perfected. A perfect mysterious boundary orb is a real piece of heaven and earth, indistinguishable from a big world like the star boundary, and it may bring unexpected benefits. Compared to asking the Emperor 3 questions, Yang Kai is more willing to let the mysterious boundary pearl get this opportunity. This has unimaginable significance for him to comprehend the great power of heaven and earth in the future and aspire to the position of emperor. Last time in Fenggalan City, Xiao Yuyang united several emperors senior realm, but opened an entrance into the 5-color pagoda in the air, and Yang Kai did not see the entity of the 5-color pagoda. But this time I was lucky enough to witness it. The 5-color pagoda is really a pagoda, soaring into the sky, with 5 colors flowing, and the whole body exudes a very mysterious atmosphere. When Lan Xuan led Yang Kai to this place, he found that no less than 1,000 people had gathered near the 5-color pagoda. Among these 1,000 people, there are people from Void Returning Realm to Emperor Senior Realm, and regardless of their cultivation level, everyone has a steady breath. Obviously they are the future pillars of Star God Palace. These 1,000 people are the disciples who will enter the 5-color pagoda for training this time. When the two of them arrived, thousands of pairs of eyes stared at them. Every Star God Palace disciple who looked at Lan Xuan, male or female, showed an obsessive expression. The contrast is extremely sharp. Yang Kai didn't care about the gazes of these thousands of people, but it was the other sharp and compelling gazes that he had to treat seriously. In front of the 5-color pagoda, 4 people stood side by side. Their aura was as deep as the sea, as if 4 towering pillars stood there. These 4 people are the 4 elders of Star God Palace. Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao, whom Yang Kai knew, were impressively listed, and the other 2 were old men, one with a red face and a burly figure, and the other with gray hair and a hale and hearty figure. Xiao Yuyang nodded slightly at Yang Kai, but Shui Zhengmao, who had suffered in Yang Kai's hands, snorted faintly. This son is that Yang Kai? The red-faced, burly old man looked at Yang Kai and asked. Xiao Yuyang said, well, he is Yang Kai. It's a dragon among men, but it's only at the first level of Emperor Zun. How can it hurt junior brother Shui? The burly old man frowned. Shui Zhengmao looked a little unnatural, and said, this kid is proficient in space magic, and my junior didn't notice it for a while, so I succeeded in a surprise attack for him. After all, he is also a strong 3-layer mirror of the Emperor Senior, and he is really embarrassed to be hurt by a junior like Yang Kai. Even if it's a sneak attack, it's amazing. The burly old man nodded slightly. The great elder thinks too highly of him. Shui Zhengmao looked displeased. If you really do it right, the old man will take his life within 3 moves. The burly old man is also the great elder Lei Hong of the Star God Palace, who is known as the #1 Emperor Venerable in the southern region. Lei Hong laughed and said, it's not the old man who thinks highly of him, it's just that you forgot how Tan Junhao died. Shui Zhengmao snorted and said, didn't the news say that there was a demon king beside this kid at that time? Tan Junhao must have died at the hands of the demon king. What has he to do with him? Lei Ting shook his head, and didn't say anything more, knowing that Shui Zhengmao was quite critical of Yang Kai. If he continued, he might become angry from embarrassment. They were all from the same sect, and they were all elders of the Jinggu Palace, so there was no need to provoke him. However, it has been a long time since I met a young man who could hurt the Emperor's 3-layer mirror. Xiao Yuyang glanced at Yang Kai, then at Xiao Chen, and sighed. Although he felt that his son was not bad, but compared with Yang Kai, it seemed to pale in comparison. To be continued. This book comes from A&A-C1/2.